Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto finds himself saved by a Kushina during a mob attack. Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. On Hagakure, which we all know as the village hidden in the leaves, the strongest of all the hidden villages. By one look at it, you can tell that this prosperous village is the epitome of peace and tranquility, but one should never judge a book by its cover, or rather, in this case, a village by just a look. It's because deep inside this village lies a darker secret, a secret that would make you think twice about this village, and it all revolves around a 4-year-old boy with shabby blonde hair, 3 whisker marks on each side of his cheeks and crystal blue eyes. You see, 4 years ago when the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked Konoha and destroyed most part of it, the village's beloved Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze, who was famously known as the Yellow Flash, tried to stop the Kyuubi, but as we all know, the Kyuubi, or rather all the tailed beasts, in general, are living manifestation of chakra. In short, they can't be killed, so the Yondaime Hokage did the next best thing he could think of. He sealed the Kyuubi in a newborn baby, and not just any baby. He was the son of Minato. Yes, he was the son of Yondaime Hokage and Kushina Uzumaki, who also went by the name of Red Hot-Blooded Habanero. Although Minato and Kushina died during the sealing process, their last wish was that their son would be deemed as the hero of the village for keeping the Kyuubi sealed inside him. But alas, the fate didn't work the way they wanted. Wait, a minute fate. I sound like Niji now. Anyways, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, took the baby and told the villagers that they are safe, and the Kyuubi was sealed inside the baby, but didn't tell them about his heritage. What a genius. He thought, emphasis on the word thought, that the villagers would see the baby as a hero, just how Minato and Kushina wanted. Oh, how wrong he was. The villagers didn't see the baby as even a human, they thought it was the Kyuubi reincarnate, and their Yondaime Hokage wanted all of them to finish the job, so they tried to kill the baby. Sarutobi never predicted this, so much for the man known as the Professor, and was beyond enraged by their actions. So he implemented a law stating that any villager that tries to disclose the fact that the Kyuubi was sealed inside the baby would be immediately executed, in hopes that the younger generation would treat the baby as equal. That was again his naive thinking, cause the villagers found a loophole in his law. Even though they couldn't tell their children about the baby, they still never allowed any interactions between him and their children. Oh. I just noted that I never gave the name of the baby, but hey, it isn't like you all don't know him. After all, he is the protagonist of his story, and also you all are reading a fanfic, so I expect you all know him. So back to the topic, Naruto, for all those who still didn't get his name, was never given a nice cozy childhood. Instead, he spent it by living in worse conditions and later in life running from mobs. He was even thrown out of the orphanage at an age of 2. I mean, seriously, who throws a kid out of the orphanage on the streets at an age of 2? To survive in this hate-filled village, Naruto used to scavenge food and other necessities through trash or other wastes that people threw. All in all, he led a childhood that would break the minds of others and maybe even force them to commit suicide. To make the matter worse, when the mobs used to attack him, they usually rendered him in a state worse than death, multiple bruises from getting hit by blunt weapons. Yes, they used weapons to attack him, cuts and slashes that would usually kill a person, which included tearing open his body parts, sometimes even skin him so much that his bones were visible. In short, he was given the worst form of torture. Well, these were done on regular days. 10th October, the day when the Kyuubi was defeated and the day Naruto was born. These attacks took an extreme form which included crucifixion of him. Yep, you read that right, breaking every bone in his body, trying to burn him alive, and even cutting off his fingers, toes and whatever, that resulted in Naruto screaming his lungs out. If it wasn't for a fox that lived inside him, he would have been dead long ago. It was ironic that the fox that made Naruto a bane among the villagers became his greatest boon. But today was the day which changed everything. It was the night of 10th October, the day that Naruto greatly despised, cause this day always meant the greatest torture session he comes across. For a 4-year-old, Naruto was highly mature and was able to think rationally and clearly. Although he never showed it, cause he had a gut feeling that it would result in him getting more attacks from the crowd, so he always put on a mask of happy, hyperactive child that was oblivious to the treatment the villagers were giving him. Currently, Naruto was hiding in an alley, making sure that the coast was clear. Okay, let's see, all of them are busy in the festival, some even carrying pitchforks and torches. Ugh, there are way too many to make an escape. Okay, calm down Naruto, you can do this, he reassured himself. He was wearing a trouser that had cuts in several areas and a neon orange jacket that screamed attention towards itself if it wasn't dirtied by the dirt on it. Inside his jacket, we see a black t-shirt that was torn in some areas, showing that he was a bit malnourished after all. He never received a proper diet in his life. Naruto closed his eyes calmly thinking and contemplating his options. Going straight through the crowd would be suicide. I can take the path that goes to the Hokage Tower, but considering today, the villagers would be guarding the path and there would be no chance in hell I'd be able to reach there. I can use some sort of distraction, but not everyone will fall for it and I don't think so that I would be able to make such a distraction. Damn it, why does this day even come? As Naruto opened his eyes he got quite frustrated that he wasn't able to think anything to escape from this alley. If only he was able to run and reach training grounds 44 or popularly called as the Forest of Death, he could avoid them all. Even though he was only 4 years old, the Forest of Death that scared the shit out of even some jounins became a safe house for him. Ignoring all the beasts and creatures that lurked in the forest, he was always greeted by a purple-haired Kunoichi who kept her short, spiky hair in a fan-style ponytail. She wears quite revealing clothes, a fitted mesh bodysuit that covers her from her neck down to her thighs, a tan overcoat with a purple inseam and a pocket on each side, a dark orange miniskirt, a dark blue belt, and pale gray shin guards. In addition to the typical forehead protector, she also wears a small pendant that looks like a snake fang attached with a thick black cord so that it won't fall off during fights. She has light brown, pupil-less eyes, and a tall and slender frame for a 14-year-old. Her name was Anko. Her personality is what drew Naruto's attention to her. She is loud, stubborn, and prone to acting without thinking. Naruto's masked personality was based on her, and she was one of the few ones who knew how Naruto actually is. The others being the Hokage, Tuchi-san and Am-chan from the Ichiraku raiment stand, and the 3 Ambus that guarded him, Inu, Nico and Weasel. Yes, he knew the Ambus guarding him. Naruto didn't understand it, but he knew that somehow his senses are much sharper than regular people. Nevertheless, Naruto always considered them all his precious people since they didn't judge him like the other villagers and treated him the way a normal child should be treated. Although Anko had a quite unique way of treating him given her personality, she used to tease him with her body, expecting the reaction she wanted but never got most of the time. Well, you can't blame him, after all, he's only 4 years old. Back to the present, Naruto knew that if he wanted to reach the Forest of Death he would have to run past the crowd. After thinking for almost 6 to 7 minutes he sighed in defeat. Well, time to test out how much I've improved in evading. Although I know it's a suicide mission, I gotta take the chance. After all, nobody is here to help me, he muttered to himself. He knew the Ambus that used to protect him a few times were not here at this moment and the Hokage was most probably in his office. Okay, here goes nothing. Anko-chan is probably in the Forest of Death. If I'm lucky I might bump into someone who can save me. Yeah, as if it would happen, Naruto mocked himself. Naruto came out of his hiding and sprinted with a speed that rivaled a genin. As soon as some villagers saw him they shouted, "The demon's here. Kill it. Finally we can finish what the fourth wanted. Make sure he doesn't escape." The shouting was all that was needed to start the game of cat and mouse between the villagers and Naruto, although he knew that getting caught is not an option here. So he used all the strength he could gather in his legs to sprint forward and occasionally avoided few kunai and other sharp objects thrown at him. Damn it. Why can't they just leave me alone, Naruto muttered as he swiftly sidestepped in the gaps that were between people. As he neared his destination, he had to abruptly skid stop as he saw that there was a large group standing in front of him and from the outfits of some he knew there were ninjas among them, possibly genins and a few chunins. Shit. I knew it was impossible, but do you really hate me, Kami? Naruto cursed under his breath as he tried to find even the smallest of escape route he could find. No use trying to run, demon, you can't escape from us, a random villager said. Just stay there and take your punishment. A genin shouted at him. Finally I can avenge my parents. An enraged chunin leaped at him with a kunai in his hand. Naruto knew that there was no point arguing with him and asking what wrong has he done. He was too busy finding an escape route. Come on, damn it, work, you stupid brain. Naruto's mind was working 100 miles an hour just to spot even a single escape route. Then by a miracle, he was able to spot an escape route, but his happiness was short-lived as he properly saw where the route was. Shit, out of all the things possible, this had to happen. Naruto gritted his teeth. He knew that if he wanted to escape he would have to run past the chunin that was heading towards him. He knew he had no choice in it and wouldn't escape without an injury. Well, either this or the whole mob. Naruto sighed and jumped towards the chunin. Ahaha, so finally you have accepted your fate of dying at my hands. Don't worry, I'll make sure that it would be slow and painful. The chunin screamed in anger as he prepared to slash Naruto. Naruto knew that he had to time it right. If he got even a second late, it would mean game over for him and he wouldn't accept it, not after giving it his all. For an instant, it looked like time has slowed down for Naruto. He could see the kunai that was slowly descending towards him. Naruto swiftly sidestepped and dodged a swing and was about to make a run when the chunin threw the kunai, which got lodged in his right arm. Naruto winced at the impact but knew better and ignored the pain. He couldn't afford to miss such a huge chance to escape, so he used every remaining power that he could gather and ran towards the streets, hoping that he could somehow escape this dreadful day. Outskirts of Konoha, half an hour ago, a mysterious figure stood just outside the gates of Konoha. The figure wore a white-colored kimono that had black thrones drew around it and a kanji for seal written all over the white obi tied around the waist, wooden sandals and an orange-colored pendant that had a black spiral made on it, almost like a whirlpool. The said figure was a man probably in his 30s, his bright crimson hair slicked backward, a pair of amethyst eyes that somehow sparkled every now and then, his face was quite muscular and had a neatly trimmed beard on it. I really don't want to visit this cursed place again, but I heard they sell some awesome takoyaki during the Kyuubi festival. The man's eyes sparkled as he walked towards the gate. When he reached the gates, the two guards positioned near it stopped him and asked his purpose. He simply replied that he just wanted to visit the Kyuubi festival that was being held. The two guards gave him a bit suspicious look, but a few moments later let him pass through. Do my clothes really look that much suspicious to them? The man wondered as he started walking towards the streets of Konoha. At present, Naruto was using all the strength he had to outrun the villagers, but somehow it wasn't going well if we take into account all the bruises that were currently on his body and a few kunai embedded on his back and right arm. Shit, they are slowly closing in on me and these wounds are not helping. At this rate, it would only take moments before they capture me, Naruto thought as he was breathing heavily. His wounds were slowly dripping blood adding to his tiredness and each movement he made caused the kunes to pierce him more deeply. He was in a world of pain as he was using whatever last force he could gather to outrun the mob that was chasing him. Take this demon. A genin shouted and threw a kunai aimed for Naruto's leg. Naruto's state was already bad and he was in no condition for dodging, so he wasn't able to avoid the kunai which pierced his calf and impacted his bones deep inside. This caused him to stumble and fall which resulted in him skid on the ground due to his momentum. Naruto screamed as he felt all his bodily pain that he was ignoring rush into him all at once. The crazy villager just laughed at his condition psychotically. If it weren't for the situation many would have backed away from him, but they seemed to ignore it. Well, let's begin the real festival now, shall we? Chunin stepped forward and twirled a kunai on his fingers. I get to go first. A random villager with a pitchfork shouted. Here's to my family, you demon. He shouted as he threw the pitchfork towards the fallen form of Naruto. I guess this is as far as I go, Naruto thought as all his hopes of escaping were crushed and he lay down there waiting for the inevitable. Suiton. Water encampment technique. Before anyone could notice what happened, an enormous water wall formed between Naruto and the villagers. The pitchfork that was thrown got lodged in the water wall, but it couldn't pass through it. What the hell, where did such a huge amount of water come from? A Chunin that sounded flabbergasted upon seeing such a huge wall of water formed out of nowhere shouted. Phew, if I was even a second late then maybe I wouldn't have been able to stop that pitchfork from piercing him. A voice came the side of water wall where Naruto was. A few minutes earlier, a stranger continued walking until he came to the area where the festival was being held. Let's see, now where can I find takoyaki? The man just mused over. The demon's here. Kill it. Finally we can finish what the fourth wanted. Make sure he doesn't escape. The man heard these random shouts coming from a distance. What were those shouts about? He wondered as he walked to where the commotion might be taking place. Present, lad, I made sure to follow that commotion, the man sighed. He slowly released the jutsu and the water wall collapsed on the ground. He then went towards the fallen form of Naruto. As the water wall collapsed, the villagers were able to see the person who interrupted their real Kyuubi festival, or that's what they call it. The said person was kneeling before Naruto and slowly removing the kunes that were lodged in Naruto's body, making sure that they were removed without hurting him more. Naruto was in a state of confusion. While he couldn't see his savior, he knew that this person was not someone he has met before. Why is this person helping me, was the thought Naruto had soon before he slipped out of conscious. The villagers weren't faring much better, they all had one thought: why is he helping the demon brat? The said person, after removing all the kunes from Naruto's body, picked him up bridal style. No, not in that sense. This allowed the villagers to look at the person clearly. Most of the females in the crowd were sporting blushes, looking at his amethyst eyes which sparkled a few times. The males, well, they weren't blushing, but something about the person demanded respect, as if he was from a high-class clan. The person observed the villagers for quite a while. There was dead silence in the air as both parties were quiet. The villager tried to break the silence, but before he could say anything, the person disappeared via water body flicker, along with Naruto. After a complete dead silence for a few moments, all the villagers had one thought: who was that person? Okage Tower. Hiruzen Sarutobi was currently sitting on his desk fighting with the biggest enemy of Kage's, paperwork. He sighed as he looked at the bundle in front of him. I was supposed to look over Naruto today, but these damn paperwork came like a hurricane, and add to that the civilian council members barging in and sprouting nonsense about anything they could think of. I'm getting too old for this. I just hope the Anbus assigned to Naruto are keeping him safe. Little did he know that those Anbus were currently being occupied by some other Anbu members, which were assigned by the civilian council to make sure that Naruto was completely unguarded for the villagers to finish their work. Suddenly there was a water body flicker in Hiruzen's office. He got alert and jumped from his desk, ready for the person who suddenly appeared in his office. The few Anbus who were in hiding also came down, forming a protective circle around the Hokage. When the body flicker cleared, they could see the person that came in. But the thing that drew their attention most was a boy that was currently held by the person. They all instantly recognized Naruto. The Hokage called out as he saw his surrogate grandson covered in bruises, blood dripping from his back, and his torn-out clothes showed that he had taken quite a beating. But before he could have rushed to check Naruto's condition, he was abruptly stopped by some invisible force. He tried to cross it, but each time the results were same, he couldn't move further. That's when the person spoke to him. "No use trying, you can't pass the seal I placed." Hiruzen's eyes widened when he observed, carefully applying some chakra to his eyes. There was a seal right in front of him with a kanji barrier written on it. But when did he place such a seal here, and add to that I didn't even hear him activate it. Hiruzen was clearly trying to deduce how did the person get the time to place the seal. But before he could think much deeper, the unknown person spoke again. "Before you ask me anything, I have one question for you. How dare you order the Hokage?" An enraged Anbu fumed, but before he could say any further, Hiruzen simply raised his hand, stopping him. Hiruzen was clearly aware of the situation he was in right now. The person had blocked him and his Anbus from reaching Naruto, and he was currently holding on to him. Even though he wouldn't allow the said person to show authority over the Hokage of the strongest hidden village, he knew better and didn't want to risk anything happening to Naruto. So he just nodded weakly, still prepared if things went south. "Are you willing to help the boy or hurt him?" Even though it was such a simple question, the seriousness in his voice told Hiruzen and all his Anbus that they better tell the truth. Closing his eyes for a moment, Hiruzen spoke in complete seriousness. "Naruto is like my grandchild, I would never hurt him." The person just eyed him carefully and after a few moments sighed, saying, "Very well, you pass." Hiruzen was clearly confused. "What do you mean by that?" The person simply replied to him, "Look at the seal a little more carefully." Hiruzen complied and looked carefully. The surrounding Anbus also looked, and to say they were shocked would be an understatement. The seal was surrounded by another layer of seal around it, and they all recognized that seal. After all, they too used it while interrogating people to check if they were lying. They all had their jaws dropped with one thought in mind: how did I not notice it before? The seal vibrated a bit and then shattered. Everyone in the room except the strange unknown person and Naruto, who was still unconscious, was completely lost. After all, it's not every day you see a person barging in and showing you how stupid a human can be. You know, just standing there won't help this child. Hiruzen and others blinked a few times to get out of the daze they were in. Hiruzen ordered an Anbu with bear mask to heal Naruto. The Anbu carefully approached the stranger, still not trusting him, and slowly took Naruto from his hands and started performing medical ninjutsu. Hiruzen let out a sigh of relief when he saw his surrogate grandson slowly healing. He then turned to the stranger currently present beside them to ask him a few questions like where did he find Naruto and in such a condition to boot. The stranger simply replied that he was just casually walking when he came across his form and carried him here because the last thing he heard from Naruto before he fainted was Hokage Jiji. He left out the part where he saw the villagers attacking him because he wanted to see if the Hokage knew about it. What has this little one done to receive such a punishment? The person kept a straight face while asking, but Hiruzen knew that he said it with concern. Although he wanted to tell him about Naruto, it was still a village secret. So he politely declined him, stating his reasons. The person was now completely sure the Hokage knew of the situation. The person's face just scrunched up as he said, "Yeah, right, a village secret that allows such a treatment to a child." Hiruzen wanted to protest, but he knew the person was right, so he kept quiet. The person continued further, "This is not the first time that such a thing has happened to this child, am I correct?" Hiruzen's eyes widened a bit again. He knew this person was not from this village. After all, one couldn't miss a person with crimson hair and such sparkling amethyst eyes. Was it so obvious that one can easily deduce what Naruto went through every day? Hiruzen still asked him on what basis, but got interrupted by the stranger. His body language. Hiruzen just raised an eyebrow, but soon frowned when the person continued. Any child taking such a beating would have broken out crying, but he was way too far from it. It was only a simple answer, but he knew the weight those words were carrying. "What have the villagers done to you, Naruto?" Hiruzen bitterly thought. The Anbu healing Naruto's injuries soon finished his work and said to them, "He's safe now." Hiruzen breathed out a sigh of relief, knowing that Naruto was okay. He turned around to thank the person, but he was already taking his leave. "Wait. Where are you going?" Hiruzen questioned him loudly. Was he really just gonna simply go after all this? "My work here is done, so I'm off to eat takoyaki." The stranger replied as he waved his hand. "Wait, can we at least know your name?" An Anbu called out. "Let me think about it." "Nah, it's too troublesome," the stranger just nonchalantly replied. At this point, several males of the Nara clan sneezed at the same time. "Someone's stealing our mojo," were their collective thoughts. Hiruzen and all the Anbu sweat dropped a bit. Seriously? "Oh, by the way, what's the name of the kid?" The stranger asked a bare-masked Anbu that was beside Naruto. "Naruto Uzumaki," the Anbu replied. It was at this moment the temperature of the whole room dropped rapidly. Every Anbu and even Hiruzen felt a chill run down their spine. "Uzumaki, you say?" The stranger's voice became eerily cold as ice. Everyone flinched hearing such a voice, it was as if it promised pain to all those who dare stand against it. The Anbus that always used to remain calm at every situation were shivering as a killer intent was washing over the whole room, even the Hokage was sweating quite a bit. The stranger turned around, and the eyes that usually sparkled were now hard and cold like a veteran shinobi that has seen wars. "Now, you'll all answer me truthfully or else it would really end up bad," he said with some venom in his voice. The Anbus were completely shivering, but they somehow braced themselves. Hiruzen was also ready if a fight breaks out. "Very well, I guess I'll have to use force," the stranger said before his fingers glowed bluish in color, and in a blur of hands he created a few seals in the air. Hiruzen's eyes widened seeing it, and before anyone could react, he made a half-ram hand seal and whispered "Fun." The seal instantly disappeared from their sight and got attached to each one of them. That was the last thing they all saw before they blacked out. An hour later, Hiruzen groaned as he woke up. "What the hell happened?" he muttered. He turned his head and saw all his Anbus lying on the floor. "You woke up already?" "Guess it's to be expected of the Hokage," a voice said to him. Whipping his head at a speed that should have been impossible for his age, he turned around to see whose voice it was. Sitting on the sofa of his office was the stranger with Naruto on his lap. He was gently petting Naruto's dirty and shabby blonde hair, and the look on Naruto's face was completely peaceful. If it wasn't for the situation, Hiruzen's would have found this scene quite adorable, but he knew that the said person can't be trusted, especially not after what he just did. Hiruzen tried to stand up but failed, and what's more was the fact that he felt his chakra completely sealed. He looked towards the stranger with a cold gaze. "Why are you doing this, and what do you want with Naruto?" His voice dripping with malice. "Well, first if you can relax, I won't hurt you or anyone else here," the stranger replied in a calm, collected voice. "Why should I believe you?" His voice still containing the same amount of malice. The stranger just smiled a bit. "Well, you never had an ill intent towards Naruto and cared for him just like he was one of your own, so I've no reasons to hurt you." Hiruzen just raised an eyebrow on that. "How did you know that?" The stranger just sighed. "I'll release the seals on you, but first promise me that you'll listen to me calmly." Hiruzen just took a calming breath. He knew that if the person wanted he could have killed him while he was unconscious. Other than that, something about the person was giving him reassurance that he could trust him. "Fine, I'll listen. But you have to explain to me what were those seals you put on us and how did you learn them?" "The only person who I know was capable of such feat was Mito-sama." The stranger just raised an eyebrow hearing that and again put his hand in a half-ram seal and said "Kai." The seal on Hiruzen shattered. He could already feel his chakra returning to him. Hiruzen slowly got up and brushed his robe. He then looked at the person again. He had a smile on his face as he slowly petted Naruto who was on his lap. Hiruzen coughed on his hand to bring the stranger's attention towards him. "Well, are you going to answer my question now?" The stranger just smiled and said, still brushing Naruto's hair. "Well, you see, the seal or rather seals I put on you all were a simple sleep and memory reading one." Hiruzen was again a bit shocked. "There were 2 seals on us? But how can he draw seals with such a speed? And not to mention drawing them in the air just like Mito-sama." But then it came to his attention that the person used a mind-reading seal on them. Hiruzen was about to say something before he got interrupted. "Before you ask, don't worry, I didn't see any of your village's secret. I just wanted to know about Naruto. But from what I learned, I have to say I'm greatly disappointed in this village, and probably the only thing that's stopping me from destroying them is the fact that there are still a few here who care about Naruto, and I possibly can't hurt them," the stranger just said with a distant look in his eyes. Hiruzen didn't know what to say. Earlier this person didn't care much about Naruto, but when they mentioned that he was in Uzumaki, suddenly this person's attitude changed. Add to the fact that he just simply stated that he would destroy the village without any hesitation, and somehow a small part of Hiruzen believed that he could do it. But the next thing that he heard completely left him flabbergasted. "Is this really the village you defended all your life for, Mito? Looks like your Nai-san was finally right about one thing," the stranger said in a low, sad voice and chuckled by the end of his sentence. He thought nobody might have heard him, but Hiruzen did hear, and oh boy, his mind completely shut down hearing it. "Ryu-sama." Hiruzen stuttered, his eyes completely wide, and he was down on his knees. The man just gave him a small smirk and said, "You've grown quite a lot from the last time I saw you, Gaki." That was it for Hiruzen. He completely broke down as tears formed in his eyes, seeing the person he admired and greatly respected when he was just a genin. His head bowed down a bit as tears slowly came running down his face. You see, when Hiruzen was just a newly formed genin under the guidance of his Tobirama sensei, he used to get frequent visits from the first Hokage and his wife Mito Uzumaki Senju. That's how he met his idol Ryu Uzumaki one day. Flashback. Hiruzen Sarutobi was currently avoiding a few kunai that were thrown at him. He had accepted additional training that the first Hokage wanted to give him. But today his wife Mito Uzumaki Senju was giving Hiruzen some training because her husband was currently dealing with a deadly force paperwork. Mito still laughed whenever she saw her husband, the great Hashirama Senju, who always had a calm and collected expression on his face, turn into one of horror whenever paperwork was mentioned. Mito was a very calm and composed individual with a dignified air about her. She had long bright red hair and large pupilless eyes. She wore an elaborate high-collared kimono with the Azushi Agakure symbol on the back of the obi, which was tied around her waist. Her hair was arranged in buns with hairpins in them and 3 clips in the front. She also wore a dark shade of red lipstick and had a rhombus making reminiscent of the strength of 100 seal on her forehead. She also wore tags with kanji written on them in her hair diesels. She looked like she was in her early 20s. "You're doing really good, Hiruzen," Mito said to him. "Arigato, Mito-sama." Hiruzen brightened up hearing praise from such a great person. "Alright, let's notch it up a bit, shall we?" Mito calmly said. But before she could say any further, she ducked to narrowly avoid a water bullet thrown towards her. Hiruzen was completely caught off guard by the sudden attack on his sensei. He couldn't even detect the attack until his sensei ducked. He knew that if the attack had been aimed at him, he wouldn't have been able to dodge it. "Hiruzen, stay down and don't engage in combat." Mito's voice brought Hiruzen out of his trance as he found a hiding spot and just laid low. He knew the seriousness of the situation and he would probably just be a casualty if he fought. "Come out wherever you are," Mito said as she reverse gripped a kunai in her hand. She again became alert as she heard a movement towards her left. She jumped backward and again dodged a water bullet, but this time she herself fired a bullet in the direction the attack came from, but she knew that it probably didn't hit. This happened a few more times, each time the water bullet came from different random directions, as if there were more than one enemies, and each time she dodged it, she even attacked but no avail, and she was growing really frustrated over it. Suddenly a figure shunshined near her, she immediately turned towards it, not dropping her guard. But when she saw the person she relaxed a bit. After all, it was her husband Hashirama. "Mito, what happened here?" Hashirama asked. "I don't know, I was teaching Hiruzen when suddenly someone attacked us. I've already told Hiruzen to stay out of this and he's probably hiding somewhere safe," she replied. Suddenly a few water bullets came towards them, they both jumped and avoided it. Their backs were now facing each other as they stood ready for any enemy attacks. "Hey Mito," Hashirama whispered. "Yes, Hashirama," Mito replied. Hashirama smirked. "Caught you." And with that, he exploded into water, leaving a completely flabbergasted and wet Mito. "I know what you are thinking, standing there. Ha 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 ha, oh man, oh god, ha 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 ha, that was the best." A man was lying on the grass clutching his stomach and laughing his ass out, his eyes teary from laughing. He looked in his early to mid-20s with spiky crimson hair and amethyst eyes which were sparkling due to tears. He was wearing black cargo pants that had its end tugged in his military-style boots. He was wearing a red t-shirt and a white coat over it with the insignia of Uzumaki clan symbol on the right side of its chest area. He was also wearing an Uzumaki pendant on his neck. As soon as Mito saw the person, realization suddenly hit her, she was played. Her left eye twitched violently and all her calm and composed personality went down the drain. Her free hair rose and waved violently as her chakra swirled around her. She closed her eyes and balled her fist, slowly bringing them up near her face. "Bibi Bakanai-san." She roared and charged towards him with an intent to completely end her brother's life once and for all. At a distance, Hiruzen was watching everything with a variety of expressions on his face. He was amazed seeing Mito-sama completely dodge those fast water bullets without breaking a sweat. He then got a bit worried as he saw a shunshin take place near her, but it was soon turned to one of relief and joy, seeing that the person was none other than the first Hokage. He was expecting both First and Mito-sama to take on the enemy easily, but was left flabbergasted as First exploded into water, completely drenching Mito-sama. He then heard laughing coming from a distance and saw a person on the grass laughing like there was no tomorrow. Lastly, he could help but form a large sweat drop at seeing Mito-sama completely losing her cool and chazzing around the person who was strangely still laughing. Is that really Mito-sama? Hiruzen couldn't help but ponder, never really seeing her lose her cool like that. Hell. He actually thought that she could never lose her cool. A few moments later, Hiruzen was sitting nervously on the grass taking occasional glances at Mito, who was huffing and mumbling something about his stupid brother. The stranger was currently tied on a wooden post with some explosion tags around him. "I think maybe those seals are just overkill," Hiruzen thought with a sweat drop. "Oh come on Amato, is this the way to treat your Ani-chan?" the stranger said with a pout. "Aka Ani-san, you deserve it. And don't go adding chan to yourself, I never said that." Amito roared. "Oh, but you always used to run to me calling me Ani-chan," the stranger just cutely replied. "SSH, shut up, baka. I was really small when I used to call you that." And now red-faced Mito fumed with embarrassment. "So you don't love your Ani-chan?" The stranger teased. No, I don't, Mito immediately replied but fumbled a bit. The stranger smirked in his mind, he knew that she was just saying that but deep inside she cared for her brother. But given his playful nature, he still played along, so he put up a sad frowning face and dejectedly said. Oh, then that means, boom, without any warning of any sorts, the explosion seals blasted, completely decimating the wooden post the stranger was on, leaving no signs of him. Hiruzen was completely left speechless, he knew Mito-sama was angry, but did she really just kill him, and if he heard correctly then he was her older brother, which made him feel much bitter, is she really this cruel? I mean, it was just a prank, right? Hiruzen turned his head to see her, but instead of seeing a collected person, he saw that her whole body was trembling and tears spilling from her eyes, her lips shaking, no words coming out of them. He then realized that such a kind and caring person like her could have never done such a thing, she was equally if not more confused like him, and from just looking he could tell that she was suffering more. Mito was completely stunned at the moment, her mind stopped working. She knew that she never activated the seals, so how did they explode? She knew she would have never done such a thing to him, even if he was irritating and a complete goof. For Kami's sake she was his sister, and even though she never admitted to him she really cared for him. But you killed him, didn't you? The part of Mito's mind screamed at her. She wanted to deny it, but the truth was in front of her, the blast would have surely killed anyone in it, and her brother was tied just at the center of it. Maybe if he wasn't tied he could have survived it, another part of her brain cursed her. Even though she was a sensor type, her brother was never detectable, even the strongest sensor types could never feel his presence, he never really used it for anything bad and simply pranked people with its help. But right now every passing moment was increasing the guilt on her, she really hoped that she could just detect even the smallest bit of his presence to know that he might be alive. Please, please, please be safe, Ani-chan, Mito cried and used all her power just to trace her brother's presence. Why are you trying so hard? Accept it, he's dead and it's all your fault. Her mind was screaming and breaking her with each word. She slumped on the ground and cried as she screamed on top of her lungs, Ani-chan. Geez, I'm not dead, stop screaming like that, Amato, a voice said. Hiruzen slowly turned his head towards the voice and upon seeing his eyes widened, but how? Mito just whipped her head towards the voice she really wanted to hear right now, and in front of her stood the person she so much wanted to see, her brother. Launching herself at a speed that could even rival the Hiraishin or Flying Thunder God technique, she latched herself on her brother's chest, crushing him with her hug. She was sobbing while muttering, "Thank God you're alive," over and over again. A smile crept on his face as he slowly petted her head. After a few moments, Mito spoke in a very soft voice, Ani-chan. Her brother just replied with a hum. Gomen. Mito apologized in the same soft tone, she then lifted her head up, her eyes red and puffy with all the crying. I don't know how. I never activated those seals. But when they exploded I thought. She started tearing up again, but this time her brother hugged her and comforted her. She felt like a huge problem was lifted off her shoulders. She then noticed that his coat was a bit burned and there were some burns on his hands too. Ani-chan, you're hurt. She panicked a bit, but he just jokingly shrugged it, saying it's nothing. What do you mean it's nothing? You're hurt, baka. Mito fumed at her brother's carelessness. I told you it's nothing, Major Amato. But more importantly, Mito, her brother said in a serious voice. Mito flinched, she knew her brother only called her by her name when he meant serious business. What seals did you use exactly? Her brother asked her. I just applied chakra suppression seals and very low quality explosion seals, but I don't know how did they explode with such power, she meekly replied. The reason was simple, Mito, you placed both of them in a single seal, her brother stated, but seeing that Mito was a bit confused cleared the fact. What does chakra suppressing seals do? He asked. They suppress chakra, Mito simply replied. How? He asked again. By sealing the chakra in the person's body, she again replied without any problems. Her brother was asking her the basics. And what if a person has too much chakra and tries to push it out? It simply seals the excessive chakra in itself and stores it. She was growing a bit frustrated being asked such basics. And if even that becomes too much then it just explodes, she replied halfway as a sudden realization hit her. She looked at her brother for confirmation, to which he just nodded. She mentally slapped herself for not paying attention to such a minute detail. When the seal can't handle the amount of chakra it absorbs, it explodes, expelling the chakra into nature, but it doesn't harm too much, you can say, just like a very low quality explosion seal, it just crackles a bit. But in this case the excessive chakra didn't dissipate into the nature, rather it strengthened the explosion seal, which caused it to be able to explode like a low-level explosion seal, and keeping in mind that you placed around 6 tags around me, the result is in front of you, he said in a serious voice, as he motioned to the blown-up wooden post in front of him. Luckily I substituted with a shadow clone that I created to prank you some more, but I guess the prank has to wait, haha, he added as he sheepishly rubbed the back of his head. Mito felt ashamed for not considering such a problem while drawing the seal and almost killing her brother, but couldn't help herself as she let a giggle pass through her mouth at her brother's antics. He's still thinking about pranking. Guess Ani-chan will always be Ani-chan. Just remember, Amato, that Fuinjutsu is a branch where even the smallest mistake can lead to huge changes in the result. So always be careful while doing it, okay, he said, to which Mito just nodded with a huge smile on her face. Hi, Ani-chan. Both brother and sister were enjoying their reunion when the third person present there cleared his throat. They both turned and saw Hiruzen nervously standing there. Mito just got totally red-faced when she saw him. She really forgot that Hiruzen was even there with them, and now she showed him a side that she never showed to anyone else except her husband and her brother. She calmed herself down and tried to get back into her dignified personality. Her brother, on the other hand, was eyeing Hiruzen. So this is the brat that Mayamato and her tree-hugging husband are giving special training to. Mito-sama, who's this person? Hiruzen asked as he felt that they both almost ignored the fact he was even there. He is Mito was about to reply when she was interrupted by her brother. I'm the coolest, the greatest, the funniest, and the most handsome person you'll find in all of the shinobi nations. He said with exaggerated expressions and hand signs. He then stood up straight and pointing a thumb towards his chest he told Hiruzen the names Ryu Uzumaki, Gaki. Ooh, oh, that rhymed quite nicely. I guess I'm a great rapper too. Bwahaha. The now identified Ryu Uzumaki laughed proudly. Smack. Can't you just give a normal introduction, Baka? Mito said with an irritated expression as she smacked her brother's antics. Hiruzen was momentarily stunned. Wait a minute. Ryu Uzumaki, as in the famous Fuinjutsu Ryu. How could he not recognize him? He was the Fuinjutsu prodigy of the Uzumaki clan. The branch of Fuinjutsu had only 10 levels, and the person that achieved the 10th level was known to be a seal master. But the Uzumaki clan, which were famous for their additional 3 advanced levels of Fuinjutsu, made even the normal seal masters seem an amateur in front of an Uzumaki clan seal master. But right now the person standing in front of him was the prodigy of Fuinjutsu who had invented the 14th level of Fuinjutsu and was known as the Fuinjutsu no Kami, literally meaning the god of Fuinjutsu. He was the one who taught this level of Fuinjutsu to most of the Uzumaki who could grasp this up. Among them was his most prestigious student Mito, always used to travel all over the shinobi nations, increasing his knowledge and creating new seals every now and then. What Hiruzen didn't know was that he and Mito were brother and sister. Hiruzen's eyes sparkled. Before his very own eyes were his idol. He always wondered about the person who taught Mito-sama. I can't believe I'm meeting the Fuinjutsu no Kami, oh my god, Hiruzen squealed like a high school girl seeing her senpai. Both Mito and Ryu had a sweat drop on their head seeing such a display. Apparently, Ryu had the capability to make people act completely undignified and in such a way they didn't know they could or didn't want it to show. So Gaki, you're a fan of mine, eh? Ryu asked with a smirk plastered on his face. Hi. Hiruzen enthusiastically replied. Mito just sighed. I guess the training's over now, she mentally told herself as she watched her brother answering Hiruzen's overexcited questions with a laugh. After a few moments when they finished their talking, Ryu came back to her sister so that they could talk after such a long reunion. So Amato, how's it going between you and that tree hugger? Ryu asked casually. Hiruzen just snickered at the name given to the Shodai Hokage of the village. Mito just glared a little towards him. You know he's my husband, right? Oh, how could I forget that disastrous day when my beloved Amato left her Ani-chan's hand and went away, Ryu said in a fake sad and depressed voice. You know, you really need a wife, Ani-san. She would really set you straight, Mito told him. What? No freaking way, sis. I enjoy my freedom way too much. And I'm not the kind of person who just settles down, nope. Ryu said while popping the pea of nope. Her sister just sighed. She knew the real reason her brother swore to never marry. It wasn't that he didn't want to marry, but he knew that he won't be able to give a girl the time and love that she should deserve. Well, he was constantly finding ways to improve Fuinjutsu more and more. You're way too kind-hearted, brother, putting others' happiness above yours. Mito just smiled. Her brother might be a goofball and an irritating character, but he was really a good-hearted person who cared for his family a lot. Oh. I completely forgot the real reason I came here. Ryu bonked his head a bit. How's the seal I made for you, Amato? He asked. Ah. You mean the strength of 100 seal? She replied, to which Ryu just nodded. It's amazing. I never thought that a person could create such a seal just by having a perfect chakra control. She said while touching her rhombus-shaped seal on the forehead. Sugoi. Ryu-sama, did you really create this seal? Hiruzen again jumped with excitement. He knew what the seal could do and always thought that it was an amazing seal. Ryu just nodded and replied to Mito, I see. Any side effects? Other than the chakra exhaustion after using it, not any that I'm aware of, she told him. Alright then, guess it doesn't need any further work for now. Ryu just smiled. Ryu-sama, how did you come up with the idea of creating such a seal? Hiruzen asked, being the curious boy he was. Mito was also curious about it but never really asked her brother, so it was a good opportunity knowing it. Well, you know that people with perfect chakra control can do medical ninjutsu, right? Ryu asked, to which Hiruzen nodded. Perfect, that does half the job of explaining. You see, I always saw that people performing medical ninjutsu always had problems when they performed huge operations or surgeries, mainly due to the huge requirement of chakra to perform it. So once I was sitting in a small shop where I saw a small shinobi, most probably a genin, stuffing some food in his bag. When I asked him the reason, he replied that he was going on a mission and it would be a long one, so he was storing food so that he could use it during emergencies. That's when this idea popped in my mind: if a person can't increase his chakra reserves, then how about storing it and using for later purposes? So I got into making a seal that would be on a person's body, which will store the person's chakra in it gradually without harming the user. The almost immortality giving self-regeneration and humongous strength that came with it were just some additional twinks to the seal because I felt it would be cool. I also made sure that the seal could be easily made with perfect chakra control, Ryu explained while sheepishly rubbing the back of his head. Hiruzen and Mito were amazed. They thought that the strength and self-regeneration the seal provided were the main cause of making it, but now he just told them that those were nothing but additional twinks that he added just because he thought it was cool. They really had no words to describe his stroke of genius, although both of them had the same thought on their mind: he really is a prodigy. So the rest of the day went by chatting between the three, and when it was almost sunset, Ryu got up and told them that it was time for him to go. Mito asked that if her brother wanted to settle in Konoha, but he just declined, so, in the end, they just gave each other a hug. Hiruzen nervously asked Ryu, "Would you visit again, Ryu-sama?" And Ryu just ruffled his hair. "Damn right, Gaki, I will," he exclaimed with a smile, to which Hiruzen shot back with a bigger smile. Ryu used to visit them in some months and even years, but after the Second Shinobi War and the destruction of Uzumaki, along with all the Uzumaki, which included Mito, he was never heard or seen again. Hiruzen presumed that he might have died in the war, so when Kushina came to Konoha, he treated her like his daughter, being the last Uzumaki, which in turn led to his grandfatherly affection towards Naruto. Flashback end. Hiruzen looked was tearing up on the inside. Right in front of him was his greatest idol that he thought was dead. All the while he was crying. He was thankful that all of his Anbu bodyguards were asleep and there was no one else in the room. After all, he couldn't show them such a side of their village leader. After a moment, when he got much more emotionally stable, he asked Ryu, "Ryu-sama, where were you all this time? I thought that you..." The tears in Hiruzen's eyes started welling up again. "That I was dead?" Ryu softly spoke, to which Hiruzen nodded. "I can't blame you for thinking like that, Hiruzen. I guess I just wanted some time alone after the destruction of my clan," Ryu said as he gritted his teeth in anger. Hiruzen knew that it must have taken a huge toll on Ryu to find his whole clan wiped out. Somehow Hiruzen partly blamed himself. "If only our forces would have reached earlier, maybe we could have avoided it." "You shouldn't blame yourself for it, Gaki. I know that you did what you could," Ryu assured him, as if reading his mind completely. "But that didn't do anything. I couldn't save anyone. Not even Mito-sama." Hiruzen blamed himself for failing to save her. "But you saved this boy's mother, didn't you? And you also took care of this boy when she died," Ryu reassured him with a small smile. Hiruzen looked at his idol with wide eyes. He lost all of his family members, including his sister he loved so much, and had every right to blame him for their deaths. Yet he was completely calm and composed and didn't blame him. If Hiruzen's respect for him wasn't enough, it was increased even more now. It seemed that during the time span he grew out of his childish behavior into a calm and dignified person. Although he didn't look as if age took a toll on him, must be due to Ryu-sama's fuinjutsu. It's not hard to imagine him doing such an impossible task, Hiruzen thought. "Hiruzen, can I ask something from you?" Hiruzen's eyes widened at the question. "Of course. You can take whatever you want, Ryu-sama," he answered diligently. After all that has happened, this is the least he could do to lessen the guilt. "I want Naruto," Ryu stated. Hiruzen froze for a moment. It wasn't that he didn't expect him to take Naruto with him, after all he's his family, but his grandfather instinct still bugged him a little. "It's not that I don't approve of it, but why Naruto, Ryu-sama?" Ryu just sighed and looked at Naruto's sleeping form. "I'm finally ready." "Ready for what, Ryu-sama?" Hiruzen asked, now a bit curious about it. "All I've done in life was to make fuinjutsu better and better. I even ignored my family for its sake, thinking that I'm doing them good by improving what we're good at, and its result was that I wasn't there when my family needed me the most. If I was there, maybe things would have been different," he said while gritting his teeth a bit, "but now I won't repeat the same mistake twice. I'll make sure Naruto learns the way of Uzumaki and becomes the heir to my legacy." Now, this statement blew Hiruzen's mind. He never expected this. Ryu-sama teaching Naruto and making him the heir to his legacy would make him a force to be reckoned with. "I'll not only teach him the 15 levels of fuinjutsu, but he'll also learn the infamous 16th level of it," Ryu said with a small smirk. Hiruzen's eyes went wide as dinner plate. 16th level. he screamed. He had surely heard that Ryu created the 14th and 15th level of Fuinjutsu which he taught to many Uzumaki and even Hiruzen, although he could only learn till level 13, as the ones created by Ryu were apparently harder than one would expect. But now he was telling him that he created another level in it. Well yeah, I mean you seriously didn't think I was doing nothing all these years do you? But I have never heard about the 16th level, Hiruzen said in a confused voice. Well that's because no one other than me and soon Naruto knows about it, Ryu replied a bit sheepishly. Wow, a level of Fuinjutsu that would be unique to him, damn I'm a bit jealous of you Naruto, Hiruzen's curious mind thought. Oh looks like our little star is waking up, Ryu said with a small smile as Naruto stirred in his sleep and slowly fluttered open his eyes. As Naruto slowly woke up, the first thing he was his Hokage Jiji, but how did I reach here? The last thing I remember was that a strange person who helped me ugh this headache he thought as he clutched his head. It then came to his notice that he was sitting on someone's lap, turning his head upwards, he saw the same person that saved him looking down at him and smiling. He then turned towards his Hokage Jiji and asked him Jiji who's he? As he pointed his thumb in the backward direction. Hiruzen wanted to scold Naruto for not behaving respectfully when Ryu just laughed at his antics and replied to him, I'm your present Naruto. Naruto looked at him with confusion on his face and asked present. It's your birthday today isn't it Naruto? Ryu asked to which Naruto replied with a nod. So your Hokage Jiji here asked me to train you into a shinobi, Ryu said with an eye smile. Naruto beamed up at that and asked his grandfather figure really Jiji? Will this person really train me so I can become a ninja? Hiruzen just looked towards Ryu for confirmation to which he nodded, so he just sighed and told Naruto that it's true. Naruto excitedly jumped towards Hiruzen while repeating thank you all over again. He then faced Ryu and asked, what's your name mister? My name's Ryu Uzumaki, but you can just call me Ryu-sensei he replied with a smile. Uzumaki Naruto's eyes widened at the thought of seeing a person with the same family name as him. Ryu saw this and instantly recognized that expression, so he just cleared his doubt, it is exactly what you are thinking Naruto. I'm from the same clan you belong from, and don't worry I'll teach you all about our clan from its history to its techniques. Naruto was now flabbergasted, he not only met an Uzumaki, but he was told that he belonged to a clan. He wanted to ask more about it, but Ryu just raised his hand and said in an authoritative tone, the questions can wait, Naruto. But right now I want you to pack up your belongings because we are leaving in an hour, and with that said he shunshined with Naruto to the location towards Naruto's apartment which he learned from Hiruzen's memory. After they left, Hiruzen just sat there sighing looks like things are now getting better for you Naruto he said with a smile. His head turned towards his sleeping forms of Anbus, I'm getting too old for this. When they arrived at Naruto's apartment, Naruto quickly went towards his room to pack up for the trip as instructed by his sensei. Ryu followed him slowly taking in the condition of the house Naruto lived in. Even though he had seen everything in Hiruzen's memory he still felt angry seeing it in person. The walls of his apartment were stained with writings such as Die Demon, Go Away Monster, Kill Yourself and many other curses that a small boy should never read or hear at such an age. So much for being called as the greatest of all the hidden villages. They are nothing but a bunch of child beaters. TSK if it wasn't for those who still loved Naruto for what he is, I would have stuck high quality explosion seals on every house present in the village Ryu just fumed in his thoughts. A little later Naruto came back with a small backpack that was in a very bad condition with cloth patches sewed on it. Ryu raised an eyebrow at that and asked. What's with the backpack Naruto? I found it in a trash can, but it's still very durable if you ask me sensei Naruto replied with a smile. Ryu just ruffled Naruto's hair with a small smile and thought, I'll make sure to give you the childhood that you should really deserve Naruto. Ready to leave Naruto? Ryu asked his disciple. Ryu-sensei can I meet Anko-chan, Aim-chan, Tuchi-san, Inu-san, Nico-san, and Weasel-san before leaving? Naruto asked. I'm afraid I can't allow that Naruto Ryu answered him. But why Ryu-sensei? Naruto asked with a bit anger for not being allowed to meet his precious people. Ryu replied with a sigh, they are your precious people, that's why I can't allow you to meet them. Confusion was evident on Naruto's face, so Ryu just calmly replied listen Naruto. I know they care for you as you care for them, that's why they won't allow you to come with me without their own supervision. In the worst case, they would actually not allow you to leave. Naruto was taken aback bit hearing his sensei's reason, he knew what he said was true, and he obviously didn't want them to stop him from training his clan's techniques. Naruto was in a dilemma at the moment, on one side he wanted to go, but on the other, he didn't feel good leaving without telling them. Sometimes you have to take some tough decisions in life Naruto. Life doesn't always go the way you want it to Ryu said in a fatherly tone. And don't worry, by the time we are done with your training you would have the power to protect your precious people. He finished it with a smile, knowing Naruto wanted this the most. Naruto just looked up at his sensei with wide eyes and a big smile really? You betcha. Ryu replied with a warm smile. Alright then lead the way Ryu-sensei. Naruto exclaimed with a huge smile on his face. He actually didn't remember the last time he felt this much happiness. Ryu just smiled at his antics and they both disappeared via Shunshin. Hokage Tower. In the meantime, Hiruzen was currently sitting on his desk sighing as three of his Anbu, namely Inu, Nico, and Weasel, along with a 14-year-old Anko, was opposite to his desk arguing about Naruto. When they barged into his office asking about Naruto after not being able to find him, he told them that he has sent Naruto with a trustable person for training. Their reactions. Well, how could you send Naruto-kun without asking us first? An enraged Anko roared. Anko-chan, calm down, we know that you are mad, but you are talking to Hokage-sama right now, the Nico mask Anbu replied. Nico's right, Anko. We all might not be happy at what Hokage-sama did without letting us know first, but we should still respect his orders, the weasel mask Anbu said. So you're telling me that you all approve of Naruto going with an unknown person? He may be trustable, but what if he turned out to be like Orochimaru? Anko was disgusted by her former sensei, and she feared that Naruto might suffer similarly. Now Anko, the Nico mask Anbu tried to assure her, but she was interrupted when a sudden killer intent washed over them. Don't you dare compare Ryu-sama with that traitor. Hiruzen said with venom dripping in his voice. He can tolerate many things, but someone disrespecting his idol isn't one of them. Everyone present in the room visibly tensed at such an outburst from the famed Kami no Shinobi. When Hiruzen calmed himself and lowered his killer intent a little, Anko gathered up her courage and asked him, "Are Ryu-sama?" Hiruzen sighed at the slip of tongue in his outburst and knew that there was no way in hell he could escape without telling them the truth. After all, if the Shinobi no Kami called someone Sama and made such an outburst for insulting the person a little, then the person has to be someone of really high standards. What you heard is correct, Anko. The one I send Naruto with is a person I greatly respect and he's even stronger than what I was in my prime time. As soon as he said that, everyone present had their eyes as wide as dinner plates. They couldn't believe what they just heard. A person stronger than the Shinobi no Kami even in his prime time. Just who is this Ryu-sama? Were their collective thoughts. Outskirts of Konoha. Ryu was walking along with Naruto when he suddenly sneezed. Looks like Hiruzen just blew up my cover, he thought with a small smile, since he expected such a possibility. Naruto was walking ahead with a huge smile plastered on his face when he suddenly turned around and asked, Ryu-sensei. Can you tell me about the Uzumaki clan? Are we a great clan like the Uchiha and Hyuga? In which nation is our clan located? And when will I meet the other members of our clan? Naruto was literally jumping at the prospect of meeting more members of his clan. Ryu had a sad smile on his face. On one hand, he was happy that Naruto was so eager to learn about their clan, but on the other, he didn't know how will Naruto take in the news of the destruction of his clan. So Ryu just sighed, deciding to start from the beginning. The Uzumaki clan was a prominent clan in Yuzushi Okuga. Ryu started, but was interrupted by Naruto asking in a confused manner, village hidden by whirling tides. Yes, Naruto. It was the shinobi village of the land of whirlpools, Ryu answered. Naruto was getting more and more puzzled hearing names that he had never heard. Ryu sighed at that it's gonna take a lot of explanation. A few explanations later, Sugoi. Naruto said with amazement after hearing the history of his clan leaving the destruction part. I can't believe I belong to such a great clan. A clan feared for its great mastery in Fuinjutsu. And what's more, the first Hokage's wife was also in Uzumaki, and not just any but your little sister. Naruto said to Ryu while beaming with pure happiness. After all, it's not every day that you learn that you belong to really great clan that founded Konohagakure along with the Senju clan. Also for the fact that his sensei was called the Fuinjutsu no Kami, the prodigy who made the 14th and 15th level of Fuinjutsu. But after a while, something clicked in Naruto's mind. Sensei. You told that you were the elder brother of Mito-sama, but you don't look that much old. Ryu gave him a sad smile at that and undid his kimono so that the upper body was visible. Naruto was shocked to see that his torso was completely covered by an array of seals, which made it look like his torso was painted black. Sensei, what's all this? Naruto said with a shaking finger pointed at his torso. This is my greed, Naruto. Ryu replied as he slowly put back his kimono. What do you mean, sensei? Naruto said with a confused look. It is exactly what you heard, Naruto. I'm an irregularity. I was so much into improving Fuinjutsu that I didn't want old age to take my life. I searched every nation, every village and even clans, just so that I could find a way to never age. In the end, I finally succeeded and gained immortality, Ryu told Naruto with disgust in his voice. But I never realized that this would be nothing but a curse to me, he finished while gritting his teeth. But isn't gaining immortality a great thing, sensei? Naruto asked, not seeing anything bad in it. It isn't a great thing, Naruto. Escaping your own death doesn't come without a price. And gaining immortality carried a huge price for it, Ryu said with sadness evident in his eyes. What price, sensei? Naruto was now getting scared hearing all this. 1,000 human sacrifices, Ryu answered while clenching his fist and getting disgusted by himself just by saying it. Naruto's eyes widened hearing it. His sensei that he had started respecting so much in such a short time had done such a thing in his past. He didn't know if he should be disgusted with him or not. But he knew one thing, that his sensei was clearly regretting what he did, since he could clearly detect a huge amount of negative emotions. Another thing Naruto learned that he could do, his sensei was emitting, which was directed towards himself. So he just closed the distance between both of them and motioned his sensei to bend down. Ryu hesitated for a moment, but after a while bent down, and when he came face to face with Naruto, he was suddenly taken aback by his student hugging him while consoling him. To say Ryu was surprised would be an understatement. He was expecting many reactions from Naruto, but this wasn't one of them. "Why are you comforting me, Naruto? Don't you feel disgusted by the fact that I took 1,000 innocent life just so I can never age?" Ryu asked him with weakness in his voice. "You are just seeing it with a one-sided view, sensei. I can clearly tell that you are regretting every single moment of your immortality and the fact that you had to watch people close to you die while you never aged. What you did was clearly wrong, but what you make of your mistake now is what really matters. Like it or not, even though you are my sensei, you still belong to the same family as me. And family always forgives one another," Naruto told him with a huge fox-like grin that radiated happiness. Ryu was momentarily stunned at such a display of affection. He knew that Naruto was highly mature for his age, but he never thought that he could even make an immortal person feel like a kid being comforted by his parents. So he just returned the hug as he steeled himself and took an oath. "You have a real kind and forgiving heart, Naruto. I'll make sure that your name shall be remembered throughout history and never forgotten. This is the promise of Ryu Uzumaki to you." After their touching moment, they soon came across an uninhabited forest with a big lake inside it. Ryu motioned them to stop. He then made around 10 shadow clones without any hand seals, and soon they all started riding some complex array of seals, creating a large boundary covering the perimeter of the whole forest. When they all finished, he activated the seals, and the whole forest was washed over with a blue light. It was then that Naruto asked, "What were those seals, sensei?" Ryu replied in a calm tone, "I know I promised you that we would be training for 6 years, but teaching you everything from the basics would be impossible in such a short amount of time. That's why I placed these time seals. The area enclosed in it will work at a 2:1 time ratio." In simpler words, that's when Naruto interrupted him. 2 seconds in this area will be 1 second in real time, and 6 years in real time would be 12 years in this forest. Ryu smiled as Naruto understood his plan and nodded to him while Naruto was jumping, saying Fuinjutsu is so cool over and over again. But once again he realized something. "But Ryu-sensei, what about aging? I mean, if I spend 12 years here, then wouldn't I be around 16 instead of 10 when I return?" Ryu was impressed that Naruto figured out such a thing on without his help. Most people would have ignored it, but Naruto caught this up. "If he continues to see every detail in seals like this, then I have no doubt that he will even succeed me." "You are correct on that, Naruto. Time seals do have that disadvantage, but not the ones created by me. You see, they do change the ratio in an area, but they also make sure that no living entity present inside it would age twice of what they should," Ryu replied with a proud grin. Naruto now had stars in his eyes. "Sensei is so cool." But a doubt again popped in his head. "But what if someone enters here, sensei?" "Ah, you don't have to worry about that. No one can enter in here without my permission, I've made sure of it." "Okay then, Naruto, let's begin with your training, shall we?" Ryu said to him. "Hi, sensei." Naruto replied with full enthusiasm. "Alright then, first of all, we will begin with your body strengthening, and for that I have these gravitational seals. These will put strain on your body while you're exercising, and I'll slowly increase them as the time passes by," Ryu told him as he took out 5 gravitational seals from his pocket. "One for each of your limbs and one for your torso," he said while handing Naruto the seals. Naruto took hold of the seals and placed them as instructed, and as soon as he activated it, he fell face first on the ground. Can't handle twice the gravitation, Gaki?" Ryu spoke in a teasing manner. Naruto slowly got up using all his strength and said with a voice filled with determination, "I can easily handle this much." Ryu just smirked at him. "Alright, then do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats and 10 kilometers running around the area." Naruto obliged and started training, but at some corner of his mind he thought, "Why do I feel like sensei's training regime is just a rip-off from somewhere?" By the end of the day, Naruto was completely tired. His muscles were sore and screaming in pain, but he somehow completed all the exercises his sensei told him. "Very good, Naruto, now have your dinner and take some rest after it," Ryu told him as he unscrolled a tent and some food. "Arigato, sensei." Naruto said and sat down to eat his food. "I did Akamasu," Naruto exclaimed and started gulping down his food. Ryu smiled at his antics just like in Uzumaki. A week later, Naruto was doing his training without breaking a sweat. Currently, his gravitational seals were at level 1. During the 2 weeks, his sensei taught him about chakra and how one uses it to perform jutsu. Okay, Naruto, you can stop for now as we'll be adding chakra control exercises since your chakra coils are still developing, Ryu told him and handed a leaf in his palm. Naruto just waited for his instructions. Now I want you to make the leaf float using your chakra, the higher and longer you make it float the better. We'll then move on to other exercises such as tree walking and water walking, Ryu said. Naruto had seen many shinobi in Konoha perform these exercises, so he didn't question and started doing the exercise. A month later, currently, Naruto was walking on water while balancing a kunai on the fingertips of both his hands. Naruto was learning things at a very rapid rate, his chakra control was rivaling a Chunin, and his gravity seals were currently at level 3. Even Ryu was worrying a bit seeing Naruto's growth, and people said I was a prodigy. I thought chakra control would be difficult for him, keeping in mind not only the huge amount of chakra we Uzumaki have, but also the fox residing in him. Even Mito had to work harder than him to perfect her chakra control again. When she became the fox's Jinchuriki during the 2 months of training, Ryu found out that Naruto was a kinesthetic learner, which meant that Naruto learned things faster when doing it physically rather than mentally. After completing the water walking exercise, Naruto said to Ryu, I'll be heading for my body strengthening now, sensei. Ryu caught the change in his tone like something was bugging him. Is there something you want to talk about, Naruto? Ryu asked with a bit concern in his voice. Naruto just sighed as he turned towards his sensei. He knew he couldn't lie to him, so he just told him what was bothering him. I have a feeling that you didn't tell me everything about our clan. Like you are hiding something from me. And why do you feel like that, Naruto? Ryu questioned him with a raised eyebrow. Well, what you told me about our clan was before the Second Shinobi World War. But you never really tell me anything about our clan during the war or after it. Ryu was a bit stunned at this. He never expected that Naruto would find out that he didn't tell him everything about their clan. Looks like not only his muscles and chakra control has improved, but also he is getting smarter and is gaining a more analytical mindset. Very well, I think he's ready to hear all about our clan. Your assumption is right, Naruto. I didn't tell you the whole story about our clan. Since everything changed during the Second Shinobi World War, Ryu said with distant eyes as Naruto sat down to listen to the full story about his clan. During that time I had recently gained immortality and was brimming with joy to uncover deeper secrets about Fuinjutsu. The war didn't interest me as I was too busy to pay attention to it, and I knew that my clan will easily handle anything. What I never predicted was that there would be a combined attack from Kumagakure, Iwagakure, and Kurigakure on our clan. Our clan was outnumbered by a huge margin. For every single Uzumaki there were 100 enemies. Hearing this, Naruto's eyes widened. Even though he had never gone to war or had never fought with a shinobi before, he knew that fighting with such a large disadvantage is nothing but suicide. He was already breaking up on the inside, knowing that the result of the war was not good. The war waged on for 3 days continuously, but alas, our clan lost, which resulted in its destruction. Ryu finished it with sadness evident in his voice. Naruto wasn't faring any better. He was just told that the clan he so much wanted to meet was already destroyed. All his hopes for meeting his clan, his family, were completely turned to dust. Tears were welling up his eyes. He wanted to cry, but he can't show weakness here. Ryu saw that Naruto's hopes were completely crushed, so Ryu just told Naruto something that lifted his spirits up. Ryu saw that Naruto's hopes were completely crushed, so Ryu just told Naruto something that he hoped would lift Naruto's spirits up. Even though our clan lost, they still did a good number on the enemy. We decimated about 85% of them, and the remaining ones fled once the reinforcements from Konoha came, Ryu said while feeling proud. Even though his family lost that day, they still lived up to their reputation of the most feared clan in all of the shinobi nations. And just like Ryu hoped, it worked like a charm on Naruto. Even though he was sad that his clan was destroyed, he felt immensely proud, knowing that they still did a huge number on them despite the disadvantage. My clan is really bad, as he thought with a giggle. Hey, Naruto, Ryu asked with his eyes fixed at a distance. Yes, sensei. Naruto replied with a weak voice. You hate all those villages that destroyed our clan or Konoha for not reaching there on time, or even me for not being there when our clan needed the most? Ryu asked. He knew that he shouldn't be asking about such things to Naruto, he's only a 4-year-old for Kami's sake. But Ryu wanted to know just what his disciple was thinking, because he would never want Naruto to walk a path of hatred. Naruto was completely silent, he had his eyes closed and was currently in deep thought. Ryu didn't say anything either, he knew that Naruto needed time to think it through. After a few moments, Naruto slowly opened his eyes and with a long sigh, he started, honestly, I don't know about it. Although I'm angry with them and even with you a little bit, sensei. But it's all in the past now, and with time comes changes. People change, sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worst, but that doesn't mean that we should just judge them without understanding about their situation first. There is always more than what meets the eye, just like you, sensei. I know that you might have made some mistakes in the past, but you changed and repented. So I guess others also deserve another chance. And it's not like my whole family is gone, there might be a few that escaped and are hiding. I just have to find them." Ryu just shook his head smiling, such a mature mind at such an early age. "You really are the biggest prodigy I've ever seen, Naruto. I guess the time's right now. Come on Naruto, time for you to meet an old friend of mine," Ryu told him as he started walking back to their tent. Naruto seemed a bit confused at that but followed. On the way, Ryu told Naruto about his parents, and to say that he was shocked would be an understatement. After all, you are not told every day that your father was the Yondaime Hokage and your mother was feared by the alias of Red Hot-Blooded Habanero. When they reached their destination, Ryu asked Naruto to sit down in lotus position and start meditating. Naruto simply obeyed him and started meditating. Ryu did a few hand seals at the moment which resulted in his whole body to glow blue in color. He then sat in lotus position near Naruto and closed his eyes, entering Naruto's mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes to find himself in some sort of dimly lit sewer with knee-level water. He didn't panic but calmly took in the surroundings to find some sort of clue to where he is. He noticed that there were two types of pipes spread around the walls. One was a blue pipe and the other was an orangish-red one. He also took notice that the orangish one was a bit thicker than the blue one, so this is my mindscape. I didn't expect it to be this dirty. The blue pipe should be representing my chakra, but what does this addition pipe represent? Naruto slowly went closer towards the orangish one and started to feel a malicious aura coming from it. Is this the hate I have against the villagers? But I never heard emotions taking form into some sort of energy. It feels more like an additional chakra reserve in my body. But if it is, then where did it come from? Naruto slowly reached his hands to touch the pipe but was stopped when someone grabbed his hand. You're still not ready to harness this, Naruto. So I advise you to not touch it until then, Ryu said to him as he slowly let go of Naruto's hand. Do you know what this is, sensei? Naruto asked Ryu while pointing his finger towards the orangish pipe. It's the chakra of your soon-to-be friend, Ryu said to Naruto and started walking further down the sewer. Naruto grew confused at what his sensei told him, soon-to-be friend. As they started walking further, Ryu asked him to light up the place. Naruto concentrated a bit and the dimly lighted sewer was now quite bright. Soon they both stopped in front of a huge steel gate with a seal on it. Ryu looked from the corner of his eyes to check Naruto's reaction and he was very proud of him. Naruto was not panicking at all, instead, he was calmly standing like it didn't affect him at all. Ryu went forward and banged the steel frames. Soon they both heard a heavy voice that shook Naruto's mindscape a little. Who dares disturb my sleep? Naruto's eyes widened hearing another voice inside his mindscape. Ryu smiled a bit and walked towards a corner saying good luck, Naruto. Naruto didn't have time to reply as he saw a giant figure slowly getting close to the steel gates. Naruto's eyes completely widened this time as the figure came into light. The said figure was a huge fox with red-orange fur and black fur around its eyes that stretches to its ears, redder eyes with black slits for pupils, and the upper body structure of a human, complete with opposable thumbs on its clawed hands. It didn't take a genius to recognize that the figure was the Kyuubi no Kitsune. While anyone would have cowered in fear seeing a tailed beast, Naruto wasn't fazed by it and kept a calm face despite his shock to see the Kyuubi in his mindscape. Well, what do we have here? Kyuubi said as he lowered himself. So you finally decided to bask me with your presence, eh, jailer? Kyuubi continued with a mock in his voice. But deep inside, he was a bit impressed that Naruto was still very calm despite the situation. Naruto didn't say anything as he was deeply analyzing the situation. Kyuubi didn't like the fact that Naruto ignored his question, so he just mocked Naruto further. What's the matter? Can't speak anything due to fear. Naruto still didn't reply, and it just angered the Kyuubi. Don't you dare ignore. Arigato, Naruto spoke in a soft voice. Now, Kyuubi would have made a ruckus for getting interrupted during his outburst. But he was currently confused at the words Naruto spoke. Why are you thanking me? I never did anything for you, Kyuubi spoke with a bit confusion. Naruto just shook his head and said in the same soft voice, you just say that. If it wasn't for you then I might have died several times from the village attacks, Naruto finished with a bright smile on his face. The Kyuubi just raised an eyebrow upon hearing it. Every time I almost died due to the torture the villagers gave me, I noticed that a faint orangish chakra always used to heal me. I had my doubts that it somehow didn't belong to me, but now it's all cleared, Naruto replied to clear his doubts. Kyuubi was quite taken aback at such intelligence from a young child. He not only seemed to mind the fact that the Kyuubi was inside of him, but he also found out that the Kyuubi's chakra was keeping him alive all this time. Kyuubi was impressed by Naruto and said to him, very well, you managed to impress me, kid. I never imagined that you would find out that I have been healing you all this time. A smirk came across Naruto's face. I didn't. But I do now, he finished with a snicker. Kyuubi's eyes widened at that, he then realized that Naruto never mentioned that Kyuubi was deliberately healing him. A grin formed on his face as he spoke. Never has anyone tricked me with just words during my whole life. You have gained my respect, kid. I the great and cunning Kyuubi no Kitsune acknowledge you. Naruto felt satisfied that he did what his sensei might have planned and soon enough his sensei did make his appearance. Did you really have to be so difficult, furball? He's just a child, Ryu said in a deadpan voice. Naruto just snickered at the nickname his sensei gave to the mighty Kyuubi. Kyuubi had his eyes wide when he saw the third person make his appearance. Ryu. But how? You should be dead or rather a senile old man. Not a mature young man. Kyuubi spoke with confusion evident in his voice. Ouch, you really hurt me, furball. I meet an old friend after such a long time and I hear that he presumed me dead. That's really harsh, you know, Ryu said in a fake hurt tone. Kyuubi growled at Ryu for a bit. Just tell me what's going on here, Ryu. How come you're still so young? Ryu sighed a bit, fully knowing that the conversation is going to take long. So he just told Naruto to return and continue his training. Naruto hesitated for a bit but finally faded away from his mindscape. Now tell me the truth, Ryu. Kyuubi spoke in a serious manner. I guess this was inevitable. Ryu gave another sigh and began his explanation. Outside the mindscape, Naruto opened his eyes as he came back from his mindscape. He saw his sensei leaning against a tree with his eyes closed. I really hope that someday sensei stop keeping secrets from me, Naruto muttered with a sigh and went for his training. Back to Ryu. Ryu had just finished explaining Kyuubi about his immortality and Kyuubi was not pleased a bit. I never imagined you out of all people doing it, Ryu. I may be glad that you didn't become more knowledge hungry, but what you did was still not right. I know that I made a huge mistake, Kurama Ryu replied. Although I'm quite impressed by the fact that the kid showed such maturity by consoling you, Kurama replied with a smirk. You don't have to press on it, Ryu said, feeling a bit irritated. After a few moments of silence, Ryu spoke in a serious manner. Hey Kurama. Can you check something for me? Kurama just raised an eyebrow at that and replied to him, I can. But what exactly do you want to check? I want you to check Naruto's chakra system a bit. And tell me if you sense some kind of disturbance in it, Ryu told Kurama with a serious look. Sure, just give me a moment, Kurama said as he closed his eyes, concentrating on Naruto's chakra. After a few moments, he opened his eyes and said to Ryu, you're right about it, Ryu. The kid's chakra system has some disturbances in it like a ripple in water. Looks like my suspicions were right, Ryu said with a huge smile on his face. Kurama looked at him with confusion and asked. Is there something you want to tell me, Ryu? Ryu simply replied, hey Kurama, wanna make a deal? A deal? Kurama asked with confusion. Ryu just smirked and started to tell his plan. An hour later, Naruto came back just in time after finishing his training to see Ryu getting up and stretching himself. Alright, Naruto, eat your dinner and go to sleep. From tomorrow you'll be learning our clan's Taijutsu and Fuinjutsu. I'll also begin your ninjutsu training along with it. Ryu spoke in a cheery mood, like some kind of burden was finally lifted off his shoulders. Naruto was really excited to finally begin his real training that he didn't question his sensei's mood. Next day, Naruto woke up quite early, excited to learn his clan's techniques. Naruto, I'm gonna start with our clan's Taijutsu. It's called Uzumaki no Ken, the Whirlpool Fist, Ryu told Naruto as he got into the stance. His left hand was outstretched, while his right hand was near his torso. Both his palms were curved like a cup and his body crouched a little bit. Oh. And wear this before we begin, Ryu told Naruto as he handed him a seal. What does this seal do, sensei? Naruto asked while he placed the seal on his torso. Meh. It's just a body reinforcement seal. It would make your body as sturdy as a rock so that you don't break any of your bones, Ryu replied with a small smirk that sent shivers up Naruto's spine. Now come at me with all your strength, Naruto. Ryu spoke with his eyes closed. Naruto obeyed and charged with a right hook aimed for his sensei's face, but before he could react, Ryu spun around his axis and his left palm deflected the right hook, but that wasn't all, as his right palm made contact with Naruto's chin, sending him flying at a distance. For Naruto, it all happened in an instant and the palm strike felt like someone had hit him with a sledgehammer. He was sure that if his sensei had not given him the body reinforcement seal, then his sensei would have surely broken his jaw. Naruto got up from the ground and charged again, but this time aiming his leg at the back of his sensei's knee. But before his leg could strike Ryu's knee, Ryu spun avoiding the leg swipe and delivered a palm strike at Naruto's back, crushing him on the ground with a loud thud. If it wasn't for the body strengthening training he performed for 2 months in the forest and his sensei's seal, his body would have been crushed by the force of the strike. Although it did render Naruto to surrender due to the pain. Ryu slowly opened his eyes and dropped his stance as Naruto struggled to get on his knees. Take some rest, Naruto, while Kurama heals you, Ryu said as he started walking at a distance. Kurama? Is it the real name of Kyuubi? Naruto asked while breathing heavily. Yes it is, and he told me that you could also call him by that name, Ryu said while he walked away. Naruto smiled knowing that Kurama trusted him enough to give his real name to Naruto. And with that, he dropped on his back and rested for a while. A few minutes later when Naruto opened his eyes he saw that his sensei was cooking some food for them. He slowly got up from the ground and walked towards his sensei. I healed much faster than normal. I guess sensei did something with the seal, Naruto thought as he clenched and unclenched his hand to see if there was any problem. When they both sat to eat the food, Ryu made Naruto ask him, "Sensei, how come you intercepted my attacks even though you had your eyes closed?" Ryu gulped down his food in a dignified manner and told Naruto, "I didn't intercept your attack, Naruto. You did hit me." Naruto raised an eyebrow at that and told his sensei, "I didn't even touch you, sensei. Tell me, Naruto, did you feel something while you attacked me?" Ryu asked as he finished his food and used a small water jutsu to wash the bowls and the plates. Naruto thought for a moment and said, "Now that you mention it. I did feel a bit tingly when I was almost about to hit you." "That was my chakra," Naruto Ryu replied as he sat back after washing the dishes. Naruto's eyes widened upon hearing it, "But I never felt or saw any chakra coming out of your body." "That was because I used a small amount of chakra on my body, wide on the top and slowly getting narrow till the bottom like a whirlpool. The chakra would not be visible to anyone and without a sensory ability, people can't even feel it like you did." "Tell me, Naruto, what happens when a ship or a boat touches the edge of a whirlpool?" "It either spins around it drawing closer to the center, or it gets thrown in a random direction," Naruto slowly said, while realizing the use of chakra in Uzumaki no Ken. "Looks like you finally caught how to do the Uzumaki no Ken," Ryu said with a smile. "Oh, so that's how the Uzumaki no Ken works," Naruto said with a gleam in his eyes at how cool his clan's Taijutsu is. "Although if you had realized it earlier you wouldn't have made the mistake of attacking my knees." At that comment Naruto just smiled sheepishly. He knew that if someone tries to strike the narrow core of a whirlpool, the person gets pushed downwards with a huge force. Sensei. Why did you close your eyes during the fight? Is that also a part of Uzumaki no Ken?" Naruto asked. "It actually is, Naruto. The only problem while learning this Taijutsu style is that one has to be completely relaxed and calm to even detect the smallest variation in the chakra code so that he can counter it with ease," Ryu replied with a serious look. Naruto saw the seriousness in his sensei's eyes and knew that learning it won't be easy. But he won't give up on learning his family's Taijutsu just because it is difficult. So with a great determination in his eyes, he said, "No matter what the difficulties, I'll master the Uzumaki no Ken." Ryu felt really proud of Naruto and said to him, "Then let's get started." Time skipped 2 years. It took 4 years inside the forest for Naruto to master his clan's Taijutsu, but now he could efficiently do it like it was his second nature. During these years Naruto also learned Fuinjutsu from his sensei and Ryu was quite impressed by Naruto's understanding in it. Naruto easily mastered Fuinjutsu to the 10th level. Ryu was immensely proud of Naruto. Naruto was learning and improving faster than any Uzumaki he had ever seen. Hell, even he didn't improve at such a tremendous rate. They also learned that Naruto had high affinities for wind, courtesy of his father, and fire, courtesy of Kurama. Naruto also had a medium-level affinity for water, which made Ryu a bit sad since all Uzumaki had a high affinity for water. But he was quite happy that Naruto had an affinity for 3 elements. Naruto also learned quite a good amount of jutsus in the time period and was able to perform some A-rank jutsus as well. He also grew from a malnourished 4-year-old to a well-toned 6-year-old. There was no baby fat on him due to his training. He was now around 3 foot 9 inches in height. A bit taller than most 6-year-olds. His gravity seals were now at level 6, which was the highest level according to Ryu, any further than it would literally crush his body into a pulp. His chakra control also improved by a lot and now Naruto could walk up a waterfall with ease. And if he wanted he could even moonwalk on the waterfall. Currently, Naruto was reading the Uzumaki Fuinjutsu books that Ryu gave him. Speaking of Ryu, he was in a forest clearing a bit far from where Naruto was. In his hand was a pitch-black katana that had seals running along its blade, not that it could be seen due to the color of the blade. The shining silver hilt of the katana was peculiar as it was shaped like a fox with 9 tails at its end. The blade of the katana came out of the open muzzle of the fox, its muzzle also contained minute-sized teeth that showed that it was crafted with huge precision. The eyes of the fox were also quite captivating as it was made red ruby that had a black substance going vertically at its center, signifying the iris of the fox. All in all the hilt was a real piece of art that would captivate the eyes of even a person who doesn't use his weapons. Finally I have made it. This is the epitome of my skills. With this Naruto will gain another destructive power for himself, Ryu said to himself as he finally breathed out an air of relief and placed the katana back into its scabbard. The scabbard was also pitch black in color with 9th demon written on it in a fiery flame color. Now that the body has been made, the only thing that remains is the soul, Ryu said with a smirk and went through 100 hand signs. Uzumaki style Kinjutsu. Resurrection. With the shout of the jutsu's name, Ryu slammed both his hands on the ground as a column of white light formed in front of him. When the light died down, there was a figure standing in front of Ryu. The said figure was a man with bright blue eyes and spiky blonde hair. He also had jaw-length bangs framing either side of his face. His attire consisted of a standard Konoha uniform with 2 bands on both of his sleeves, a green flak jacket, blue forehead protector, and blue sandals. He also wore a short-sleeved long white haori over his normal attire, closed in the front by a thin orange rope. The haori was decorated by red flame-like motifs on the edges, with the kanji for 4th Hokage written vertically down the back. He was Minato Namikaze. "Where am I?" Minato asked with confusion evident on his face. The last thing he remembered was the fact that he had sealed the Kyuubi's Yang chakra in Naruto and its Yin chakra into himself via Shiki Fujin or dead demon-consuming seal. He vaguely remembered dying soon after with his wife Kushina when the Kyuubi attacked them. "I really don't have the time to explain everything to you in detail, Namikaze brat. So prepare for a huge transfer of memory," Ryu said while he placed his right hand on Minato's head and it glowed blue in color. Minato didn't have any time to react as a huge wave of memories washed over Minato's mind about the condition Naruto lived in Konoha and about Ryu's plan. If it would have been a normal person, his or her brain would have broken down by that much amount of information given in an instant. Even a person brought back by Ito Tensei, in pure world reincarnation, would have a huge headache due to it. But what Ryu did was different. The jutsu that Ryu used brings back the soul of a person trapped in the stomach of the Shinigami, with the cost that the summoner has to give his soul to the Shinigami when he or she dies. The summoned soul will not have a body, but the soul can still touch or feel others, and it has its own free will. Also, the summoned soul can be released anytime it wants to. Although there is more to this technique, apparently the summoned soul becomes free from the clutches of Shinigami and finally ascends to the pure world after being released. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that unless the summoner's soul is of much greater value than the summoned soul, the technique will not work. When Minato finally came to his senses after taking in all the memories, he felt anger rise up at the treatment the villagers gave to his son. But he calmed himself down and asked a simple question to Ryu. "You do know that your plan will end up hurting Naruto more than you may have imagined, right?" Ryu simply answered him with a blank face. "It is this pain that will give him the ultimate power." Minato just gave a sigh in response and inserted his right hand in his chest. Moments later he took out a dense orb that had a brownish glow to it from his chest. "Here's the thing you wanted," Minato said as he handed the orb to Ryu. Ryu just took out the katana and inserted it in the orb. As soon as the blade touched the orb, it started to get absorbed in the katana. When the orb finally got absorbed, the fox's eyes on the hilt glowed for a bit and then returned to normal. Finally, Ryu said with a satisfied smirk as he sheathed the katana back into its scabbard. "So what now?" Minato asked. "The day is the 10th of October. Your son's birthday." He had always spent this day running and hiding from the mobs, but today will be different. Not only he will get this weapon as a present, he'll also receive you as his present. And what better gift is for Naruto than learning his dad's techniques personally from his dad, Ryu replied with a smile. Minato was a bit touched that Ryu thought so much for Naruto. And he was quite eager to meet his own son. Ryu soon arrived at the place Naruto was training. Naruto was currently balancing himself upside down on 2 kunes that were placed on the ground with his fingers. "Okay Naruto, you can stop your training now," Ryu said in a soft voice. Naruto did a backflip and landed on his feet. "What's the matter, sensei? Why did you stop me?" Naruto asked. "Do you know what date today is, Naruto?" Ryu asked with a smile. Naruto scrunched up his face a little in thought and then with a surprised look he answered, "Today is 10th of October. My birthday." "Correct," Ryu said while stretching the R. "And what does the birthday boy gets?" Ryu asked with a happy tone in his voice. "Presents." Naruto cheered. During their 4 years there, Ryu gave Naruto presents every year, whether it be teaching an amazing jutsu to even some ramen that he brought from Konoha using a shadow clone. "So what do I get this time? Is it another awesome jutsu or maybe a huge stock of ramen?" Naruto practically drooled at the last part. Ryu may love the mature attitude that Naruto possessed, but he kept in mind that Naruto was still a child and should be spoiled like one sometimes. "None of the above, Naruto, this time I have something special for you," Ryu said to him and brought forth the katana he worked so hard to make. Naruto's eyes widened seeing such a beautiful katana, the hilt especially was so alluring that Naruto couldn't keep his eyes off it. As soon as Naruto grabbed hold of the katana he felt something spark inside him like the katana was made for him. Naruto slowly took it out of its scabbard and sank in the depths of the pitch-black blade. It was so sharp that one could cut itself just by looking at it and it just emitted raw power that sometimes you could hear it howling. "That's Sugoi-sensei. This is such an awesome katana, are you really giving this to me?" Naruto asked, not believing that his sensei was giving him such a powerful-looking katana. Ryu simply nodded with a smile on his face. Naruto jumped towards his sensei in happiness, but Ryu dodged it. "Now Naruto, I know you're really happy, but could you please sheath the katana back before hugging me?" Ryu said with a sweat drop. Naruto just rubbed his head sheepishly as he sheathed the katana and gave a warm hug to his sensei. Despite the height difference, Ryu still felt the raw happy emotion from Naruto. "Now, since you did improve really well during our time here, I've another present for you," Ryu said while crouching down and placing a specialized kunai, tri-pronged kunai with a handle containing some sort of seal, in the ground, and before Naruto could question any further, there was a yellow flash at the place where the specialized kunai was. Naruto's eyes widened like dinner plates this time, as he recognized the person who was standing in front of his eyes. After all, how can one not recognize the Yondaime Hokage, especially when he's your father? Naruto just muttered how and other things incoherently. Minato understood that his son must be in shock to see his supposed dead father alive in front of his eyes, so to clear Naruto's doubt, Minato said with a smile, "It's all thanks to your sensei here that I'm standing before you." Naruto turned his head towards his sensei, who just nodded at that and was soon crushed in a tight hug by the 6-year-old. "Man, for a 6-year-old he sure is strong," Ryu thought with a sweat drop. When Naruto finally released his sensei from the hug, Ryu told him to take the day off and spend some time with his father. Naruto merrily agreed and spent the rest of the day having some father-son time. When the night finally came, Naruto and Minato headed back to where Ryu was preparing their meal. Naruto was told that his father was just a soul and would disappear once he had finished training Naruto. Naruto was a bit sad hearing it but steeled himself, saying that until that time, he'll make as many memories as he can with his father. When they all ate their dinner, Ryu told Naruto about the katana. Apparently, the katana was a sentient sword that had the soul of Yin Kurama in it. Naruto knew that the Kurama stored inside him was the yang half, so when he learned that his katana had the other half, he was beaming with joy, knowing that now he had the complete power of the nine-tailed fox. Ryu also told him that he'll be learning how to control Kurama's yang chakra. His katana could perform yin release, which allowed him to create powerful attacks out of nothing. His katana was also capable of creating any type of jinjutsu, since jinjutsu is mainly yin energy. So with that, another round of Naruto's training began. Time skip 4 years. We currently find Naruto fighting with his sensei in a taijutsu battle. He had greatly improved in the 4 years after his sensei gave him the katana. His taijutsu was perfect, and with his own customization, he made his own personal taijutsu style, called Hakai Takina Uzumaki Ken, literally meaning the destructive whirlpool fist. Naruto added his greatly sharpened senses to the chakra coat, which made it impossible for anyone to even lay a finger on him. He also used some of Kurama's chakra to add more power to his blow. What he never expected was that a single palm strike from him could easily decimate a rock without any efforts. Even Ryu didn't want to be on the receiving end of that blow, so he advised Naruto to not use it unless the situation called for it. Naruto also added quite a few offensive moves in it, since the original Uzumaki Ken was a purely defensive taijutsu. His chakra control was almost perfect now. Naruto did learn medical ninjutsu, but he cannot perform operations of any sorts. He had completed and mastered all the 15 levels of Fuinjutsu. Apparently, Naruto was told that his sensei had also created a 16th level, which was nothing but the katana that Naruto had. When Naruto asked that how could a katana be related to Fuinjutsu, Ryu told Naruto that the infamous 16th level of Fuinjutsu only had one type of seal made until now, which Ryu used to call the Eternal Void. Once the seal is activated, Naruto's katana can cut through any type of jutsus, dispelling them in the process. Ryu also told Naruto that if he somehow slashes his opponent with the katana when the seal is activated, then he could stop his opponent's chakra flow for a moment. Naruto was really amazed to learn what his katana could do. It was simply the best weapon ever created. The best part about his katana was that since it's a sentient sword, no one other than Naruto could use it. Naruto also learned his father's famous jutsu Rasengan and Hiraishin. Though Naruto didn't change Hiraishin, he did make his own versions of Rasengan, such as Adama Rasengan, Big Bull Rasengan, Chindama Rasengan, Ultra Big Bull Rasengan, etc. Naruto also incorporated his wind nature into it, thus creating Photon. Rasengan, Wind Release. Rasengan and Photon. Rasen Shuriken, Wind Release. Rasen Shuriken. Naruto also tried with other natures, but was advised to not use many versions of his Rasengan, since they easily fell into the category of Kinjutsu. Minato and Ryu also taught him about Senjutsu, but they never allowed him to perform it practically, as his body was still too young to handle too many energies at once. After his father taught Naruto all of his techniques, he finally ascended into pure world. Naruto cried that day, but it still didn't cause any problem in his training. Naruto also learned how to control the yang chakra of Kurama to an extent, as he was still not ready. Ryu also made sure that Naruto also learned other things such as cooking, gardening, carpentry, etc. He was also given the talk, and needless to say, the whole day Naruto was blushing like crazy. Ryu just added oil to the fire by advising Naruto that if he ever meets an Uzumaki girl, he should not hesitate to make her his girlfriend, since Ryu loved the way Uzumaki women were. Ryu used to always tease Naruto, saying that since he's one of the last Uzumaki left alive, he should have a harem to rebuild the Uzumaki clan. Naruto always used to go tomato red hearing this and chased Ryu while swinging his katana. The 8 years that Naruto spent with his sensei inside the forest was priceless. He was really thankful to Ryu for giving him such a life. Ryu was just like a second father to him. Whenever Naruto had a nightmare, Ryu used to let him sleep on his lap and comforted him like his own son. Naruto also felt quite strange whenever he looked at his body, since his mind was that of a 12-year-old, but his body was of an 8-year-old. Although due to the training he did, his body was really well built even than some adults. He kept his hair long and spiky like his father. His sapphire eyes now used to sparkle just like Ryu. There was no baby fat on him, just pure muscles that could even make Rock Lee jealous. Naruto was currently practicing with his katana when he heard the voice of his sensei call out for him. Naruto did a quick shunshin and came to the place his sensei called. Naruto, you have completed all the training that I had given you. Now we'll move on to the next phase, which is giving you experience, Ryu said to Naruto while he was packing their stuff. Experience? You mean we'll be moving out of this forest? Naruto replied in a calm voice. Exactly, Naruto. Here, catch this, Ryu said while he threw a card of some sorts that Naruto caught with ease. What's this, sensei? Naruto asked. It's your hunter's license, Naruto. From today onwards you'll be doing bounty hunting. This will provide you with good experience in not only fights, but you'll also learn to never hesitate when killing, Ryu replied to Naruto as he did a water body flicker with Naruto to the outside of the forest. Time skipped 4.5 years. Naruto gained quite a name in the field of bounty hunting and went by the alias of Marusadermu, which meant Maelstrom. Naruto was classified as an S-ranked bounty hunter due to his skills. Even the officials that issued Naruto's rank were surprised by the fact that an 8-year-old was already an S rank in just 6 months. Naruto never hesitated to kill unless the threat could be captured without using much force. With his sharp analytical mind and a huge arsenal of skills, he made him quite famous in some villages, which included Kurigakure. Even the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist who had never seen or met Naruto were wary of him due to his accomplishments as a bounty hunter. Currently, Naruto was waking along with his sensei in the forests near Kurigakure after Naruto completed his bounty. You're progressing really well, Naruto. Even I'm a bit scared of you now, Ryu said to Naruto in a playful manner. Naruto just pouted a bit hearing that. Don't flatter me that much, sensei. I still have ways to go. And as far as power is concerned, I'm still way behind you. Ryu just smiled at the fact that his student never allowed his accomplishments to flame his ego. Naruto was still down to earth. Soon they both saw a body that was lying on the ground at a distance. They both rushed towards the person to check it. The body was that of a girl, most probably a year or 2 older than Naruto. She had a pale complexion but not too much, her hair was chocolate brown in color and messy with dirt. In addition to it, she also had 2 scarlet dots on her forehead which Ryu instantly recognized. Her white kimono was torn from many places and covered in dirt, which almost made it look like it was brown in color. Ryu unsealed their tent from his scroll and told Naruto to apply medical ninjutsu on the girl. Naruto didn't waste a second there and started treating her wounds. After they were finished, they applied some ointments and bandages to relax her sore muscles. Naruto stayed in the tent in case the girl wakes up, but Ryu went out to prepare their meal, all the while thinking one thing: what's a girl from the Kagaya clan doing here? If I remember correctly, they are bloodthirsty people that love war, and by the looks of it, she was attacked before we found her. Just what is going on here? It was finally night time when the girl slowly opened her eyes, taking in the surrounding. The first thing she saw was that she was in a tent with bandages at a few parts of her body. She panicked and tried to make a run, but due to sudden movement her body ached in pain. She groaned as she felt the pain circulate through her body. She then saw a blond boy enter the tent with food. She got scared by him and tried to crawl back, but the pain didn't allow her to do much. You should stay still and rest. Your injuries were treated by my sensei and me, but natural healing is still the best, Naruto replied in a calm voice that seemed to soothe the girl. Here, have some food. My sensei made it especially for you to heal better, Naruto said while he handed the food to the girl. The girl was reluctant to eat the food the boy offered, but a growling of her stomach beat her to it. She was embarrassed by it while Naruto just laughed a bit while giving her the food and leaving the tent. Naruto was outside the tent with his sensei at the campfire talking about the girl. So how's she? Ryu asked. She appears to be in quite a pain, but I've healed all her injuries. She just needs rest, Naruto replied back. That's good, Ryu said, and then appeared to be lost in thought. Naruto asked him with concern, is there something bothering you, sensei? Oh, not at all. I was just thinking that soon you'll return back to Konoha, Ryu replied with a small smile. You're not coming with me, sensei? Naruto said, feeling a bit tears forming in his eyes. I'm afraid I can't, Naruto, Ryu replied in a soft voice. But where will you go then? Naruto asked while he was trying to keep his tears from falling. "A place where I always wanted to go," Ryu replied as he looked towards the sky. Naruto was not able to ask any further as the Kagaya girl came out of the tent. She was still wary of Naruto and Ryu, but somehow didn't sense any sort of malice from them. Ryu saw the nervousness on the girl's face and said with a calm tone, "You don't need to feel wary of us. We won't harm you." The girl replied back with some hesitation, "How can I trust you both?" It was Naruto who replied this time, "I can understand that one cannot trust someone who they just met, but you don't have to worry about it much. As soon as you get healed you are free to go." The girl just nodded and sat down near Naruto, keeping some distance between them. "If you don't mind, can you tell us how you were injured?" Ryu asked with a little concern. He knew that the girl didn't want to talk about it since she was clenching her fist a little and avoiding eye contact. It took a while, but finally, she gave a heavy sigh and replied. "My clan attacked me." Naruto's eyes widened a bit when he heard that the girl was attacked by her own clan. Ryu kept a straight face knowing that the Kagaya clan were a bloodthirsty clan and always loved to fight, so it was not a surprise for him that she was attacked. But he knew there was more to it. "Any specific reason?" Ryu said with a calm yet serious voice. The girl knew that she couldn't lie, somehow sensing that Ryu would catch her lying, so she said the truth. "My clan always treated me like an outcast since my father was not a Kagaya. They always hated the fact that my mother married a person from outside their clan. And unlike my clan, I didn't possess any bloodlust, so they always used to torture me, saying that I didn't belong to their clan. Since my mother was the clan head at the time, nobody dared to attack me. But a week ago my father and mother died and they finally got the chance to kill me. I have been running from them ever since, and just yesterday they found and attacked me, but somehow I narrowly escaped them and was saved by both of you." The girl broke down and started crying by the time she finished. Naruto slowly got up and wrapped the girl around his arms, comforting her. The girl didn't say anything and just let Naruto comfort her. Deep inside, Naruto was furious at the treatment her clan gave her. She was just like him, that's why Naruto knew the pain she felt throughout her life. Ryu was in his own thoughts at that time, so Aiko had a daughter. I can see why she doesn't have the bloodlust that other Kagayas have. After the girl stopped crying, Naruto asked her name. "My name is Akari Kagaya," she replied. "That's a pretty name, Akari-chan." "My name's Naruto Uzumaki," Naruto said with a fox-like grin. Akari blushed a bit at the compliment and the addition of Chan with her name. Ryu just watched this scene with a smirk. Well, would you look at the player go. "Now if you two lovebirds have finished your business, would you mind leaving each other?" Ryu teased them both. Naruto noticed that Akari was still in his arms. They both blushed furiously and let go of each other, not making any eye contact. Ryu just gave a hearty laugh and went to sleep in another tent that he set up. Time skip 5 years. During the 6 months Akari spent with Naruto and his sensei, she grew quite fond of Naruto. She also learned how Naruto was treated in his village. She was also told about the resident living in Naruto and was really furious knowing how those villagers treated her. Naruto-kun. She started calling him like this just after 2 months. And even though she loves Naruto for his kindness and maturity, she never admits it. Ryu used to tease her, calling her at Tsundere. Akari also learned that she had her clan's rare Kekkei Genkai known as Shikatsumayaku, Dead Bone Pulse. It allowed Akari to manipulate her own skeletal structure. By infusing the calcium in her bones with chakra, she could manipulate the growth and properties of her bones to her liking. Luckily, Ryu had met a few Kagaya clan members in the past possessing Shikatsumayaku to know how their ability works. Ryu also made her a unique type of dress that could regenerate itself like a living thing when torn, since whenever Akari used her ability, it resulted in her clothes getting torn due to her bones. This also resulted in Naruto have his life's first nosebleed when he was sparring with Akari. Ryu just laughed the whole day, teasing them both about the incident. Ryu also found out that Akari possessed another Kekkei Genkai Jinten, Swift Release, which even Ryu had never seen in his entire life. The Kekkei Genkai came into the picture during a training session Akari was having. Ryu tried to deliver a palm strike on her when she suddenly seemed to vanish in thin air and instantly appear behind Ryu at a distance. When Ryu asked how she did it, Akari simply replied that she only wanted to avoid the palm strike and the rest happened automatically. It took Ryu days to find out the exact reason as to how Akari did it. In the end, he just came up to the conclusion that Akari was possessing another Kekkei Genkai, which she probably inherited from her father. When both Akari and Naruto heard the news about her possessing another Kekkei Genkai, they jumped and celebrated in happiness. It was also the day that Akari kissed Naruto on the cheeks, which caused both of them to blush furiously and avoid eye contact for the rest of the day. Ryu just laughed, liking that they both were coming closer and closer. Ryu also trained Akari to control her chakra proficiently so that she could perform Shikatsumayaku and Jinten efficiently. Akari also had her first kill during this time when she was bounty hunting with Naruto. She shivered and cried the whole day in Naruto's arms and ultimately they both slept together. Nothing happened between the two, if you are wondering, for the night. Ryu loved both Naruto and Akari as his children and decided that it was time to give Naruto his final gift before leaving. Currently, the three were back into the forest in which Ryu applied the time seals. Ryu taught both Naruto and Akari about every type of jutsus, Kekkei Genkai, the basic 5 elements of nature and secondary elements, due to the combination of 2 basic elements. Akari also learned a bit of Fuinjutsu, but she could only master it up to level 5. The next 4 months were spent learning about all the knowledge Ryu had along with their respective training. Currently, Akari was gone to collect some firewood and hunt an animal in the forest. Ryu told Naruto that they are gonna spar until Akari comes back. "Hum at me with all your strength, Naruto, this time no holding back," Ryu said as he took the stance of Uzumaki Ken. Naruto channeled some of Kurama's chakra into his fist and charged at a great speed towards Ryu. Ryu parried Naruto's right hook with his left palm and prepared to strike with his right palm aimed towards Naruto's chest. But Naruto quickly parried it with a left palm strike to Ryu's arm. They both spun and tried to deliver a right palm strike at each other, which resulted in a huge shockwave as both their palms met. Due to the shockwave, they both flew at a distance. Naruto saw that Ryu seemed unfazed by that strike to his palm, but on the inside, Ryu was suppressing the pain Naruto's strike gave. Damn, his Hakai Takina Uzumaki Ken is a lot powerful than I imagined. If I didn't use the high-quality reinforcement seal on my body, then I'm sure my palm would have been blasted away by that attack. I know that I told him to not hold back, but I never said to go all out. Oh wait, in a sense I guess I did. Alright, time to get serious, then Ryu thought and did a few hand seals. Suiton. Water whip technique. The whip made of water formed in Ryu's hand as he started to dance around while striking with a whip like a ribbon gymnast. Due to Ryu's very high affinity for water, even his D-rank jutsu did damage equivalent to a B-ranked one. Naruto was having a bit trouble dodging the whip since they seemed to rapidly change directions whenever he dodged them. Damn it. Sensei is really a master of Suiton jutsus. If his whip touches me then it will not be good. I guess I'll just have to cut through it, Naruto thought as he unsheathed his katana. I know Sora, Eternal Void, Naruto muttered as he activated the seals on his katana and slashed it right through the water whip. As soon as the katana touched the water whip it instantly disappeared like it wasn't even there. Nicely done, Naruto smirked. But his happiness was short-lived as his right leg was grabbed by a water whip from behind. But how? Naruto thought as he looked towards the direction his sensei was, only to find him go poof. A shadow clone. Naruto's eyes widened as he was tugged from behind and thrown towards a tree. But at the last second Naruto substituted himself with a tree leaf. As soon as Ryu saw the substitution he got ready to fend off any attack. Naruto suddenly appeared behind with using Hiraishin. Gyutin. Godly wind from the mountain technique. Naruto roared as he compressed an incredible amount of air in his mouth, which made it look like he was about to burst. Ryu's eyes widened as he saw that Naruto was about to use a destructive air-rank jutsu at almost point-blank range, and with his high affinity for wind, the jutsu would probably decimate him. As soon as Naruto expelled the air from his mouth, a violent hurricane destroyed everything within 100 meters in front of him. Naruto didn't find any trace of his sensei. He looked a bit worried, but knew that he was not going down even with this. Suddenly Naruto had to dodge a large projectile of water that came towards him. The said projectile was around 30 meters in diameter. But Naruto was in for another surprise, as the projectile exploded even before touching the ground. The said explosion was also caused by an explosion tag which was hidden inside the projectile. Naruto used his katana to nullify the explosion and the water. But as soon as he did it, Ryu appeared in front of him and shoot a water bullet straight towards Naruto's chest. But now Ryu was in for a surprise as Naruto Idamura Sengen. The next thing Ryu knew was that he was thrown forward by an Idamura Sengen struck on his back. Ryu went flying at a distance before his skid stopped. Ryu looked up and smirked. You never failed to amuse me, Naruto. You have already surpassed me and I hope you'll still improve in the future. Alright Naruto, let's finish it up with a last attack from your katana. Try to thrust it straight in my chest, Ryu said in a loud voice so that Naruto could hear him. Naruto nodded and held his katana in a thrusting position. He then ran at a great speed towards Ryu, not noticing an orangish glow that his katana was emitting and a hidden smirk that was on Ryu's face. Squelch. Naruto's eyes widened in horror as he saw that his katana had pierced his sensei's chest and there was an orangish glow emitting from it, which he realized was his move Poison Blade, which used Kyuubi's yin chakra. And if his memory served right, then it acts like a high-quality chakra poison to a person if he or she is not a Jinchuriki. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts when Ryu coughed up some blood from his mouth and smiled at Naruto. But all that Naruto was seeing was horror, his hand stained with the blood of his sensei. Naruto trembled and started muttering no in a continuous manner. Tears formed in his eyes as his grip on his katana loosened and Ryu's body fell on the ground. Kyuubi's yin chakra was spreading in his body, slowly killing him. Naruto slumped on his knees and started crying as he took out the katana from Ryu's chest. No, no, no sensei, please don't die. Sensei please, Naruto said in a trembling voice as his tears started flowing like an open tap. Ryu just smiled weakly at Naruto and said to him, don't worry Naruto. It's all I ever wanted. Don't say like that. Why didn't you dodge the strike like you always did? Why did you have to take that attack? Why are you dying when I started to see you just like my father? Naruto complained to Ryu as he cried harder and harder. Ryu was a bit surprised at the statement, you saw me as a father. Naruto nodded slowly. Ryu just smiled at him and placed his hand on Naruto's cheek, wiping his tears. I also saw you as my own son, Ryu replied to Naruto in the softest voice one could say in. Naruto leaned on Ryu's hand, hearing it. I'm glad to hear that too-san, he also spoke in a very soft voice as a smile formed on his face. But after a moment Ryu's hand dropped from Naruto's cheek on the ground lifelessly. Naruto looked in great horror as his second father's body laid on the ground lifelessly. Oi Too-san, wake up, come on, don't joke with me, Naruto said with a weak laugh as he shook Ryu's body. Too-san. Naruto screamed with all his energy towards the sky in pain when suddenly his pain increased almost 10 times. Arg. Naruto growled as he felt like his whole body was set on fire, especially his eyes which felt like they were melting from the heat. Akari was just returning after her hunt when she suddenly heard Naruto's painful scream. She dropped her hunt and used Jinten to quickly rush to where the voice came from. When she reached there her eyes went wide with fear. Her father figure was on the ground dead with Naruto beside him screaming in pain. Akari rushed towards Naruto and took him in her arms. And Naruto. What happened here? Akari was now crying, taking in her surroundings. But before Naruto could reply he blacked out due to the pain. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto woke up in a very familiar terrain. The sower was long gone, instead there was a huge forest with lakes, animals, birds and everything that nature's beauty had. Naruto clutched his head as he felt a headache coming, which was quite ironic considering the fact that he was in his mindscape. Naruto looked around and saw two figures at a distance. Both of them had fox features with 9 tails, the only difference was that one had an orangish red fur while the other had brownish fur. They were Kurama's yang and yin parts. Naruto glared towards them both. Kurama. Explain to me as to why you activated Poison Blade move when I never gave such a command. They both sighed at the question, and then Yang Kurama spoke. Listen kid, it was all because Ryu asked us to do it. Naruto's eyes widened, but then soon they turned furious. Why would Too-san order you to kill him? Stop lying to me. Yin Kurama replied to Naruto this time. Listen Naruto, before you ask any more questions just look at your eyes in the lake, as he pointed towards a huge lake behind Naruto. Naruto was reluctant to go but still went so that he could know the truth. But when he saw the reflection of his eyes in the lake, he was taken aback suddenly. His eyes were no longer the sapphire gems that used to sparkle at times, now they were metallic purple in color with ripple-like concentric circles on them. Naruto instantly recognized them, they were the fabled Dijutsu Rinnegan. But how? Naruto mumbled in confusion. Yang Kurama slowly came near Naruto and told Naruto the truth about the day Ryu made a deal with him. Flashback. Hey Kurama, wanna make a deal? A deal? Kurama asked with confusion. Ryu smirked and said yes, a deal, Kurama. What kind of deal? Kurama asked with a raised eyebrow. I'll get you your yin half. Ryu gave another smirk at Kurama's reaction. Kurama had his eyes widened completely. He knew that his yin half was in Shinigami's stomach sealed within the Yondaime Hokage. So getting it would be almost impossible, but he knew that the person he was talking to was Ryu Uzumaki, the Fuinjutsu no Kami who designed the Shiki Fusion. You're not kidding with me, are you, Ryu? Kurama asked with another raised eyebrow, but this time his voice had a bit of hope of finally reuniting with his other half. I'm serious about it, Ryu replied. Kurama was beaming with joy at finally becoming his complete self. But then he remembered that Ryu said it was a deal, therefore Kurama had to give something in return. But what do you want from me in return? Kurama asked. Ryu simply stated, I want you to activate the Rinnegan. Kurama's eyes widened hearing the name of the eyes his father had. Rinnegan, where did you find it? Kurama stopped midway as he finally realized the source of the disturbances in Naruto's chakra. No. It can't be. You're joking with me, right? Kurama said, still not believing that his host possessed those eyes. You better believe it, Kurama. We Uzumaki were the descendants of Asura along with Senju. Since Asura never inherited Hagoromo's eyes, I always doubted that they must be in dormant state present in the body of Asura and his descendants. Although very few had it, none showed its activation. The first time I felt that Naruto might be able to activate them was when he started learning at a tremendous rate, as if he had some kind of Dijutsu, Ryu replied to clear all the doubts Kurama had. But what do you want me to do? I don't know how to activate it, Kurama asked. Rinnegan users always tread on the path of pain. In short, unless Naruto receives a huge pain mentally, he won't be able to spark the activation of Rinnegan. But I've already taken care of it, so what I want you to do is to supply a huge amount of chakra when this spark happens so that the disturbance spreads into his body completely and activates the Rinnegan. Ryu replied. And exactly how do you plan to do it? Kurama asked, not liking where this was going. I'm going to let Naruto kill me by his own hands, Ryu replied in a calm voice. Kurama was shocked to hear it and growled at Ryu, are you mad? What kind of stupid plan is that? It's not a stupid plan, Kurama. Nothing will give Naruto more mental pain than killing me, Ryu replied, still being his calm self. Why are you so hellbent on dying, Ryu? Kurama asked in his deep voice. Ryu chuckled a bit. It's quite funny you're asking me that question, Kurama. Kurama raised an eyebrow at that. I have made many mistakes in my whole life, Kurama. One of them was to give myself immortality so that I never age. I've spent years suffering because of this. I lost my clan and many precious people aged and died in front of me while I stayed the same. I even had the thought of killing myself once, but I wasn't able to do it. Guess this immortality doesn't allow me to take my own life, Ryu said with a sad look. You do know that your stupid plan will end up hurting that kid more than you imagine, right? Kurama said with a sigh as he knew that Ryu would not stop, no matter how much Kurama convinces him. But that's the price he has to pay for the ultimate power, Ryu replied with a small smile. Fine. I'll help you, but tell me just how do you plan to execute your death? Kurama asked. Your yin chakra will help me execute it, Ryu said with a small smirk. Kurama just raised an eyebrow for Ryu to continue. Your yin chakra would be poisonous to anyone except a Jinchuriki, even I can't handle it. I thought you were immortal. Kurama asked him. I don't age, that's the only thing this immortality provides. I can still die if you try to kill me, Ryu replied to Kurama as a matter of fact. Kurama just sighed knowing that Ryu had all of it planned, so he just said. So, the deal's final, I guess, slipping one of his fingers between the cage bars. Yep. The deal's final and set, Ryu replied as he shook Kurama's finger with his hand. Flashback end. Naruto's mindscape. After hearing all that, Naruto burst into tears. He never knew that his father figure actually planned all this just so that he could get the Rinnegan. But why did he have to do it? I had enough power already, didn't I? Naruto asked in between sobs, cursing himself for his lack of power, which might have led Ryu to plan all this. You don't have to blame yourself, kid. Ryu promised you that he'll provide you with every possible power, didn't he? Kurama replied. He was a great man, Naruto. He always loved you and Akari as his own children. He would never want any of you getting harmed just because your power was somehow insufficient, Kurama said to Naruto. And Ryu would never want to see you break down like this. Tell me, kid, would you let Ryu's sacrifice go to waste or will you make him proud? Kurama continued. Hearing that, Naruto clenched his fists and wiped away his tears. No. I won't let Two-Sen's sacrifice go to waste. If Two-Sen wanted me to acquire this power, I'll make him proud of me. Both the Kurama half smiled at that. Kurama then said to him, Naruto, Ryu had kept some scrolls and a letter hidden in the katana to give to you after you acquire Rinnegan. I'll be unsealing them now, make sure to read them. Naruto nodded and disappeared from his mindscape. So what do you think? Just how powerful he'll be once he mastered the powers of Rinnegan? Kurama asked his counterpart. Let's just say that even we won't make the mistake of messing with him, Kurama replied with a laugh. Outside of Naruto's mindscape, Naruto laid unconscious in the arms of Akari. I only went for an hour, what exactly happened here? Akari thought as she cried at the sight of her two most precious people, one dead and the other unconscious. She was brought out of her thoughts when she felt Naruto slowly getting his consciousness back. Naruto groaned lightly as he slowly opened his eyes. The first thing that he saw was the crying face of Akari. Hey, Akari-chan. Why the sad face? Naruto asked. But instead of a reply, he was taken in a bone-crushing hug. Naruto was fully awake now, not because of surprise, but due to suffocation. Apparently, Akari was quite a tight hugger. Akari-chan can't breathe, Naruto said as he started turning purple due to suffocation. Akari realized that she was crushing Naruto, so she quickly left him and turned away, getting red-faced from embarrassment. After Naruto regained his breath, Akari asked him, still shaking a bit, and Naruto-kun, what happened here? Naruto let out a deep sigh. He didn't know how Akari will react to the truth, but he still told her everything he learned. After the explanation, Akari didn't say anything and silently cried as she just heard the whole truth from Naruto. She did understand the reason her father figure gave his life for, but still hated the fact that there was no other way. Naruto respected her silence and went towards his sensei Two-Sen's body. He really felt pain looking at his father's dead body, but steeled himself so as to respect his father's wishes. After Akari calmed down, Naruto asked her to help him dig a grave to lay their Two-Sen's body. Akari simply nodded and helped her. Naruto-kun. By the end of the day, they both buried their father figure, all the while trying not to cry. Both Akari and Naruto cried and were comforting each other the whole night. The next day didn't bring as much excitement like it usually did for Akari and Naruto. Naruto was cooking for them and Akari was still in her tent sobbing. Naruto felt really bad for Akari when she accidentally rushed out of their tent, hoping that her father figure will be just outside cooking for them. When Naruto finished cooking their meal, he went inside their tent and they both ate their food slowly. After finishing their food, Naruto heard some kind of howl coming from outside their tent. Naruto instantly knew that his katana was calling for him. He told Akari to wait inside the tent as only Naruto can hear his katana's voice. Akari was a bit hesitant but agreed to it. Naruto kissed her forehead before leaving so that she didn't worry much about it, and it worked like magic as a smile came across Akari's face and a cute blush adorned her cheeks. Naruto went towards his katana to check why it was calling for him. When he reached there, he saw a few scrolls and a letter lying alongside his katana. "These were the last gifts Ryu wanted me to give to you." Naruto. Kurama's voice came from inside Naruto's mind. Naruto smiled a bit and picked up the scrolls and the letter along with his katana. Naruto went back inside the tent to see Akari waiting for him. She gave Naruto a look of confusion seeing the scrolls and letter he was carrying. "These are from Tusan, Akari-chan," Naruto said with a smile. Akari literally jumped at Naruto when she heard Tusan. She was impatiently telling Naruto to open them. Naruto didn't say anything and started with a letter which was addressed to both Naruto and Akari. "Dear Naruto and Akari, first of all, I want to apologize to you for leaving you both alone on your own. I never wanted to hurt any of you, but it was necessary so that Naruto can gain the Rinnegan. Always remember that I loved both of you as my children, and it's a father's job to make sure his children have a bright future, right? Now, Naruto, I don't want you to go blaming yourself for killing me. You must always remember that it was not you who killed me, but me who deliberately killed myself. If you want to respect my wishes, then make sure that you stop blaming yourself and master the powers of Rinnegan. Akari, make sure that Naruto doesn't do anything stupid and always support him, not that I think he'll do but still. Also, I'll let you know that I fully support your relationship with Naruto. You must make a move on Naruto quickly cause I have a feeling that he's gonna steal the hearts of a lot of women. Haha. Now, I've left 3 scrolls for Naruto and 3 scrolls for Akari, so make sure that you both read and learn the things given in it. The blue scroll explains about the Rinnegan. The red scroll explains about Uzumaki clan's secret technique adamantine sealing chains. The green scroll explains more about Akari Shikatsumaku. The yellow scroll is my research knowledge about Akari's Jinten. The brown scroll contains my collection of Suiton Jutsu for Akari since she has a high affinity for it. The white scroll is a surprise for Naruto. Also a special warning to Naruto. Don't try to revive me. The letter was a very simple one, neither too long nor too short, neither too detailed nor too blunt. Naruto and Akari felt a bit better after reading the last letter from their Tusan. Although they did feel a bit embarrassed that Ryu just openly told them to hook up. Not that they didn't want to, but it caused a bit uncomfortable atmosphere between the two. Naruto was also a bit confused about the last line Ryu wrote in the letter. Even in his death, Tusan won't stop with his puzzles, Naruto thought with a smile. Naruto looked over the 6 scrolls that were present. He took the blue, red and white scrolls and gave Akari the green, yellow and brown one. "Let's not waste our Tusan's effort, Akari-chan," Naruto said with a smile as he opened the blue scroll. Akari smiled warmly at her Naruto-kun, but then something crossed her mind. Naruto-kun. Naruto simply looked at her and replied with a "Hmm. You told me that you have the Rinnegan, right?" Naruto just nodded. "But aren't the eyes of Rinnegan users a color of metallic purple with ripple-like concentric circles?" Naruto nodded again, but this time with a raised eyebrow. "But your eyes are still the same sapphire color like it was before," Akari asked with confusion. Before Naruto could state his surprise, Kurama spoke from within. "It is something Ryu has told me to do. Apparently, he wanted me to apply a high-level demonic genjutsu on your eyes so that they stay the same like before." Naruto was a bit confused as to why Ryu would ask for such a thing, but he was still glad cause he liked his sapphire eyes more. Naruto told Akari what Kurama had said to him. Akari was also confused and asked, "Do you think you know the reason for it, Naruto-kun?" Naruto just shrugged and said, "Maybe the scrolls might help." Akari agreed with him and they both started reading the blue scroll. Rinnegan. The Rinnegan is reputed as the most exalted eye among the 3 great Taijutsu. Unlike the Sharingan that can copy any type of jutsu the user sees through it, Rinnegan allows its user to not only copy but also to understand the jutsu being used. Rinnegan is characterized by a ripple pattern that spreads over the eyeball. The Rinnegan grants the wielder a wide range of abilities without any known chakra requirement to keep the eyes active. Abilities 1. Rinnegan is able to see chakra as well as its flow within the body and the activated tenketsu of the 8 gates. 2. Rinnegan can easily master any jutsu as well as all 5 nature transformation. 3. Rinnegan also gives the ability to combine the elemental nature transformations, thereby creating a few combined nature transformations. 4. Rinnegan also grants the user a family of abilities collectively known as the 6 paths technique. Combined nature transformations. 1. Heimten, ice release, combination of water and wind. 2. Mokuton, wood release, combination of earth and water. 3. Imton, lava release, combination of fire and earth. 4. Ranton, storm release, combination of lightning and water. 5. Futton, boil release, combination of water and fire. 6. Shakuton, scorch release, combination of fire and wind. 7. Jiton, magnet release, combination of wind and earth. 8. Bakuton, explosive release, combination of earth and lightning. 9. Shmdan, crystal release, combination of earth, water, and lightning. The 6 paths. 1. Diva path, control over attractive and repulsive forces. 2. Asura path, the ability to mechanize one's body. 3. Human path, the ability to extract souls. 4. Animal path, the ability to have multiple summons. 5. Preta path, the ability to absorb chakra. 6. Naraka path, the ability to summon the King of Hell, which can revive people. Warning. King of Hell is a dangerous kenjutsu. If the user wants to revive too many people, the user has to do it in exchange for their own life. Therefore the user must use the King of Hell very wisely. Side note. I have asked Kurama to apply a high-level demonic genjutsu on your eyes so that no one will know about you possessing the Rinnegan unless you tell them. Also, it's gonna be quite funny seeing the reactions of people when you will do a combined nature transformation with your normal eyes. Geha. Naruto was left with mixed emotions. He was left in a state of awe after reading the abilities of Rinnegan. That's some damn crazy power you gave me. Tusan. Naruto also understood the meaning behind the last line Ryu had written in the letter. So this is what you meant by telling me to not revive you. The situation was the same for Akari since she was also left speechless after reading what the Rinnegan could do. If Naruto-kun masters the Rinnegan, nothing can stand against him. Akari squealed a bit at the thought of a god like Naruto. They also snickered a bit at the prank that their Tusan had made. He was still a prankster till the end. After their lunch, Akari went to train her Suiton jutsus that her scroll had. Naruto opened the white scroll which his Tusan said was a surprise for him. And boy, Naruto did get a surprise. The scroll was a sealing scroll that contained 3 other scrolls. One was an official scroll signed by the Fire Daimyo, stating that since Naruto was one of the few Uzumaki and the last Namikas, he was made the clan head of both these clans by Ryu and Minato respectively. It allowed Naruto to have many rights and gave him immunity to quite a few laws. But the best part was that it allowed him to have access to both the Uzumaki clan and the Namikaze clan account, which had enough money to buy the whole Fire Nation. Naruto just had one thought after seeing the amount. I can't even imagine the amount of ramen I can buy with it. The second scroll contained a list of Fuiton, Raiten, Kaiten, Suiton and Doton jutsus. Since having the Rinnegan allowed Naruto to have very high affinities for all 5 nature transformation, he could easily perform any type of ninjutsu. It also had a side note stating that Ryu wanted Naruto to create his own jutsus for combined nature transformation, since he believed that Naruto can easily create them with his creativity. The last scroll was the most special one for Naruto. It had something sealed within it, along with the lines for good luck written below the seal. When Naruto unsealed the seal, his eyes widened to the size of dinner plates, and his hands trembled holding the unsealed artifact. This is. Time skipped 6 years. The time finally came for Naruto to return back to Konoha. The last 1 year, which was 2, inside the forest, was very fruitful for Naruto and Akari. Akari had completely mastered her Shikatsu Myaku and Suiton jutsus that were mentioned in her scrolls. She also had a great control over her Jinten due to the notes that were given in the scroll. She was now 12 years old and 5'1" with waist-length chocolate brown hair, vivid green eyes, and 2 scarlet dots that adorned her forehead. She was wearing the special outfit that Ryu had created for her. The outfit greatly resembled what Konoha Anbu always wear except their body armor and mask. The clothes always readjusted whenever she grew, and they also self-cleaned themselves after getting dirty. Her attire also hugged her body, making her curves much more defined. Naruto had also grown quite a lot in these years. He was currently 5'10", which was really tall, considering he was only 10 years old. Talk about growth spurt. But he was only 10 years old in age. His body and mind were that of a 15 to 16 years old due to the time seals. Naruto's years of training made his body feel like it was sculpted by the gods to perfection. His sapphire eyes sparkled from time to time, and his medium-length blonde hair was slicked back like Ryu. He wore a black muscle-fit t-shirt that perfectly depicted his ripped torso, grayish army pants that had its end tucked inside the black combat boots. He also wore a white haori over his attire, which had a large Uzumaki crest on its back. He had his katana strapped on his back. But the best part about his complete attire was his Tusan's Uzumaki pendant that he was wearing around his neck. The last scroll had this sealed within it as a good luck from Ryu. Naruto was really happy that day and treasured it, as the pendant made him feel like his Tusan was always with him. During their time together, Naruto and Akari got really close and eventually became a couple. With Naruto confessing to Akari since she always used to give the typical tsundere response, it's not like I love you baka. with a huge blush. Naruto really had to work hard to make her open up to her feelings more. His first kiss was also taken after many tries. And oh boy, the whole day Akari was in a trance-like state after the kiss. Currently, both of them were heading towards Konoha. Naruto-kun, do we really have to go back to the village that outcasted you? Akari spoke, still angry at Konoha for hurting her. Naruto-kun. Akari-chan, you know that Toussaint wanted us to give another chance to all of them, right? Naruto said with a smile. And see it this way, I'm not going back to Konoha to meet the villagers that always hated me, but to my precious people who always treated me for what I was, Naruto continued with a smile never leaving his face. Akari pouted a bit at that. Am I not your precious person, Naruto-kun? Naruto didn't say anything, instead, he used his Banshim-tenon to pull Akari in his arms. Akari was caught completely off guard at the sudden pull due to Naruto's gravitational technique. You do know that you're really precious to me, right? Naruto slowly whispered in her ears while giving a small nib to her earlobe. A chill ran down Akari's spine when Naruto nibbled her earlobe. She might never admit it, but she really loves it when Naruto takes the lead in their relationship. After a few moments of innocent playing and teasing, they both reached the gates of Konoha. They were greeted by the famous Chunin gate guards of Konoha. Izumo and Katetsu. Halt. State your business for the visit. Izumo spoke in a professional manner. His best friend Katetsu, who was simply lazing around in his seat while eating syrup, asked him, halt. Did you seriously use such an ancient word to stop those children? Izumo glared at his best friend. Did you really had to pass that comment? You completely destroyed the tense atmosphere I just made. Both Naruto and Akari sweat dropped at the antics of the duo. Katetsu was continuously pulling Izumo's leg at every sentence. Naruto cleared his throat so that the duo could hear him. The reason for our visit is to meet the Hokage. Both Izumo and Katetsu stopped their bickering at the mention of Hokage. Now they had serious look on their faces. Even Katetsu got up from his seat and stood beside his best friend. And just why do you want to meet the Hokage? Katetsu asked with a serious face. We just want permanent citizenship to this village, Naruto replied in a calm demeanor, not getting fazed by the tension in the atmosphere. Both Izumo and Katetsu eyed Naruto and Akari for a moment and then handed them a form each. Fill in these forms. After that, one of us will escort both of you to the Hokage, Izumo said. Naruto nodded and started to fill out the form along with Akari. Once they finished, they were escorted to the Hokage by Katetsu. All along the way, they drew the attention of many people. Naruto especially had the most attention since he resembled a bit like his father, the Yondaime Hokage. The male population was giving him the looks of respect and the females were just blushing. Akari growled a bit seeing those hussies give her Naruto-kun the looks of lust. She even hissed at a woman who dared approach Naruto to flirt with him. Katetsu was watching the whole scene with great interest. He even teased Naruto for having such an overprotective girlfriend. Naruto just smiled back in response and told that he still liked her the way she was. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen was currently busy doing paperwork on his desk, but his mind was elsewhere. It has been 6 years now, Naruto. I hope that you soon return with Ryu-sama safely. He then looked back at the huge bundle of paperwork at his desk and cried mentally, someone please save me from these damn paperwork. As if by miracle, his prayers were heard by a knock on the door. Hiruzen replied with a small satisfaction. Katetsu entered Hiruzen's office and stood upright. Hokage-sama, 2 visitors have come to meet you. They told us that they wanted permanent citizenship of Konoha. Hiruzen's eyes widened for a bit when he heard there were 2 people. He felt happiness bubbling from inside of him at the prospect of finally meeting Naruto and Ryu again. Have they really returned? Hiruzen thought with a huge smile. Very well, send them in, Hiruzen said. Katetsu nodded and went outside the office to call Naruto and Akari. Soon enough they both entered the Hokage office. At first, Hiruzen was unable to recognize Naruto, but his mind quickly did after he saw those sparkling sapphire eyes, blonde hair and the 3 whisker marks on each cheek. And Naruto? Hiruzen asked with some tears in his eyes, happy to see his surrogate grandson after 6 years. Haha. Yup, in the flesh, Jiji, Naruto said with a huge fox-like grin. Hiruzen rushed towards Naruto to give him a warm embrace. Naruto simply returned the hug. After a while, Hiruzen broke the hug and asked Naruto, where's Ryu-sama? And who is this girl you brought along? Naruto mentally sighed. I hope that Jiji doesn't take the news of Toussaint's death badly. Before I explain you about everything, can we have some privacy? Naruto said, pointing towards the ceiling. Hiruzen understood and signaled his Anbu to move out. They all trusted Naruto, so they left the office. Naruto's fingers glowed a deep color of purple, and with a blur of hands, he made the whole office soundproof. Hiruzen was surprised for a moment seeing Naruto make seals just like his Ryu-sama. I guess it was to be expected, Hiruzen thought with a smile. Naruto slowly took a deep breath and started telling everything to Hiruzen from the beginning. Outside the Hokage Tower, the Cad Mask Anbu had taken her leave from the duty after her shift was over. She took off her mask to reveal a 20-year-old woman with straight purple hair reaching down to her waist, warm brown eyes, and a shade of red lipstick. She was Yugao Yuzuki, the Kenjutsu master of Konoha. So Naruto has finally returned. I can't wait to tell this news to Anko-chan. She really waited all these years for her Naruto-kun. Yugao giggled at the last part and slowly made her way towards the dango shop that Anko always visits. When she reached the dango shop, Yugao saw the sight of her best friend Anko, gobbling the dango like she was breathing air. Over the years not much had changed, Anko still wore the same attire that she used to wear, but now it was even more revealing as her assets grew bigger. She always used to receive stares of lust and perversion, and even some catcalls from the male population, despite the fact that they usually called her snake whore. Yugao just sat near Anko and ordered a few dango. Anko simply gulped down her last dango and grinned towards Yugao. So your shift's finally over, Yugao-chan. Yugao ate a few pieces of dango and said to her, yup. And guess what, you won't believe who I saw at the Hokage's office. Oh. Did someone caught the eye of our Yugao-chan? Anko teased her. Yugao reddened a bit but teased back, I think you'll be more interested than me in meeting that person. Anko raised an eyebrow and asked, who is this person that I'll be interested to meet? Yugao giggled a bit and whispered in Anko's ear, your Naruto-kun is back, Anko-chan. The next thing Yugao knew was that Anko left her and ran towards Hokage's office at full speed. Yugao giggled at her best friend's antic and continued to eat her dango. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen heard everything from Naruto and he was completely silent after hearing about his idol's death. Hiruzen was constantly pushing back his tears from falling as he trembled a bit. Naruto got up from his place and hugged Hiruzen to comfort him with Akari following suit. It took a moment for Hiruzen to gain back his bearings and stop his sobbing. After Hiruzen got emotionally stable, he asked with a smile to Naruto, so you've not only learned your clan's technique and Fuinjutsu, but you also gained control over Kyuubi, along with the acquisition of the Rinnegan. And don't forget the name I earned in the field of bounty hunting, Naruto said with a proud look. Hiruzen felt really proud of Naruto. He had heard the name of the bounty hunter by the alias of Marusadermu a lot, but never knew it was his surrogate grandson. Considering that you're already an S rank, would you like me to give you the rank of Jimnin? Hiruzen asked. I'm really honored that you want me to be a Jimnin, but I'll have to decline the offer, Jiji. I don't think people could digest the fact that a boy who is only 10 years old is already a Jimnin, Naruto politely replied. But you don't look like a 10-year-old, Hiruzen inquired. The time I spent in the forest with those time seals are the cause of it. For you, I came back after 6 years, but for me, I'm back after 12 years, Naruto replied, sheepishly rubbing the back of his head. Hiruzen just rubbed his forehead at that. This is way too confusing for my age. Naruto and Akari chuckled a bit hearing that. So Naruto, what do you want to do now? Hiruzen asked. Well, we're still unregistered ninjas without any affiliation to any village. So I was thinking if you could register both of us as Konoha citizen and prepare our admission papers for the Ninja Academy, Naruto replied. You want to be a genin? Hiruzen asked with a bit disbelief since he knew Naruto was way ahead of that rank. Yep. I actually want to advance the ranks like a normal 10-year-old, Naruto said with a smile. Even though you could easily have a rank of Jimnin with your power, you're still down to earth. You've really grown a lot, Naruto, Hiruzen said with a smile. Naruto replied with a bigger smile. Oh, and your new home has already been constructed, here's the key for it, Hiruzen said as he handed the key to Naruto. Thanks, Jiji. I knew I could count on you for it, Naruto replied with a smile as he grabbed the key. I'll prepare the documents then. And while I'm at it, why don't you take your girlfriend for a visit around Konoha, Hiruzen teased Naruto. Akari blushed while Naruto just gave a small chuckle. It was at that moment the doors of Hiruzen's office busted open due to a kick from Anko. Anko just eyed the room, and when her eyes fell on Naruto, she jumped towards him while crying, Naruto-kun. Naruto could have easily dodged her, but he didn't do it and let Anko hug him for as long as she wanted. Akari was getting really jealous and twitching in irritation seeing Anko hug her, Naruto-kun, while Hiruzen was giving a perverted giggle. Okay, that's enough now. Akari said in irritation as she tried to separate Anko from her, Naruto-kun. Anko groaned when Akari tried to separate her from Naruto. She glared at Akari and then something sparked in her like a woman's intuition that was screaming at her to protect her man. Even Akari felt it and she also started to glare at Anko. They both stood in front of each other and were glaring so hard that one could literally see sparks flying in between them. Naruto wanted to stop both of them, but his instinct was telling him that he'll probably die if he interferes, so he just stood at a distance all the while sweating a bit. Hiruzen, on the other hand, was having perverted thoughts about seeing both the girls engage in a catfight. Who are you? Anko growled at Akari. That should be my question, Akari growled back. Anko just huffed and said to Akari in her exaggerating manner, I'm the hot and sexy Anko Mitarashi. Akari gave her a look of annoyance and said. Can't you say your name in a normal manner? No can do, honey. My Naruto-kun likes this attitude of mine. Ain't I right, Naruto-kun? Anko purred at the end of her sentence while hugging Naruto's arm in between her valley. Akari totally snapped, get away from my Naruto-kun. Your Naruto-kun? Anko asked in annoyance. You heard that right. I'm Akari Kagaya, Naruto-kun's girlfriend, Akari said with a smug look. Stop kidding with me, Naruto-kun's mine. Anko hissed at Akari. Soon they both started to throw insults at each other. Naruto wanted to stop their fight but was suddenly silenced when they both turned towards him and growled together, Naruto-kun, Naruto-kun. Tell her that you love me. Now, Naruto may have godlike powers, but even he can't win against a woman's wrath, and he was sure that he was seeing the Shinigami form behind them. He knew that if he says he loves Akari, Anko will kill him, and if he says he loves Anko, then Akari will kill him. So he did what most protagonists from harem mangas would do. I love both of you, Naruto said with a nervous smile. It was at this moment the whole village heard the shriek of a man facing the wrath of a woman. Many of male population even prayed for whoever was going through the worst pain of their life. A few moments later, Naruto was currently crouched in a corner mumbling, never make a woman angry, over and over again. Both Akari and Anko introduced each other properly this time, but were still facing opposite to each other with their cheeks puffed up. Hiruzen tried to calm them down. You both do know that since Naruto is one of the last from his clan, he falls under the CRA, which means that he can have more than one wife, right? But I don't want to share my Naruto-kun Naru-kun with her. They both said at the same time while pointing a finger at each other. Stop copying me, you snake, Akari grumbled. Want me to break your bones? Anko hissed while cracking her knuckles. A katana-like bone came out of Akari's palm as she got ready for battle. Anko just took out her kunai and got ready to charge at Akari. Hiruzen wanted to stop them before they started to fight inside his office, but before he could act he saw a blue glowing chain slither from the ground and wrap around both the women. That would be enough now, a voice came from a corner. Hiruzen turned his head and saw the standing form of Naruto, holding the ends of those chains that were binding Akari and Anko. Playtime's over now, both of you, Naruto said in a commanding voice. Akari and Anko just nodded. Naruto retracted the chains back into his body and sighed. Listen, Anko-chan, I don't mind having you as my girlfriend too, but you have to accept the fact that Akari-chan and I are already in a relationship. So if you want in, you'll have to behave. Anko pouted for a moment but finally agreed. Akari was also hesitant for a moment, but she also agreed to share Naruto. Hiruzen was just giggling and teased Naruto, would you look at that? Not even half a day has passed and you've already made Anko-chan your girlfriend. You move really fast for a 10-year-old, Naruto. Naruto just looked at his surrogate grandfather with a deadpan look. I guess you really don't want the secret to finishing paperwork. Hiruzen's eyes widened like an owl, and he asked in disbelief, do you really know such a technique? Naruto smirked and nodded. Hiruzen simply fell on his knees and with a pleading look said to Naruto, please teach me this technique, sensei. Anko was laughing her ass out, while Akari wasn't faring much better, seeing the Hokage of the most powerful hidden village pleading on his knees to Naruto. Even Naruto was failing to contain his laughter. Ahahaha, oh god, okay, I'll teach you Jiji, but please stop, it's way too funny, Naruto said in between his laughs. Hiruzen stood up and with puppy eyes, which was quite weird for his age, looked at Naruto for the answer. Get ready, Jiji. What you're about to learn is the ultimate ninjutsu for tackling paperwork, Naruto said with a serious face. Hiruzen was paying complete attention to any word Naruto was about to say. Naruto just walked past Hiruzen and held Akari and Anko around their waist. Before Hiruzen could say anything else, Naruto disappeared via Shunshin along with Akari and Anko, and in his place was a piece of paper. Hiruzen picked up the piece of paper and when he saw what was written on it, he silently went towards his office wall and face-walled because Fasipam is too mainstream himself. Stupid, how could I not think about using shadow clones before? Hiruzen groaned in embarrassment as he continued to face-wall himself. Meanwhile, Naruto and his girlfriends were currently outside his new house. The house was quite big and had 3 floors in it. Naruto had asked Hiruzen to build it just after he got access to his clan savings. Hey Naru-kun, why are we here? Anko asked. This, my Anko-chan, will be our new house from now on, Naruto said while motioning his hand towards the house. Our? Anko asked with confusion. Yes. You, me and Akari will be living here from now on, Naruto said as he entered his new house. But I already have a house, Naru-kun, Anko said. Naruto turned his head back and replied, I won't let my girlfriend live in that old wooden shack. Besides, I've already made arrangements for you. Anko turned towards Akari who just shrugged. If Naruto-kun really wants it, who am I to object? But don't think for a single second that I'll let you have your way with my Naruto-kun in here. A mischievous smirk came across Anko's face when she saw Akari glaring at her. I'll get the same room that Naru-kun is having, Anko said and rushed past Akari who just fumed and chazzed Anko. After a week or so, both Naruto and Akari got their citizenship of Konoha and were given admission to Konoha's Ninja Academy. Naruto also learned about everything that happened in Konoha during his absence, which included the Uchiha tragedy. Needless to say, he was really sad to know that Uchiha Itachi, who was the weasel mask Anbu that Naruto considered as his precious person, killed every Uchiha members in a single night with the exception of his brother Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto refused to believe that Itachi killed all of his family just to test his strength and told Hiruzen that he'll find the real reason behind the whole incident. Naruto also got to know that after he was gone, the whole village rejoiced and over the years changed a lot. All of the village children were told that Naruto was the Kyuubi. Except for the clan heirs who were explained by their respective clan leaders and a few exceptions, all the children hated Naruto now. Naruto didn't seem to be fazed by it, but gave a heavy sigh at the villagers' stupidity. Naruto was also given the list of his classmates and was a bit surprised to know that his batch consisted of many clan heirs. Naruto also did a high-level demonic ninjutsu over him so that his height shortened from 5'10" to 5'1", since he didn't want his classmates or rather anyone to look at him like he was a giant. As soon as Anko got to know that her Narukan was going to become a genin, she rushed to the Hokage's office to already choose Naruto in her team. Although when Hiruzen said to her that she can't just create a new team, a smirk came across her face and she told Hiruzen her plan. Currently, both Akari and Naruto were walking towards the ninja academy for their first day. Do we really have to do this, Naruto-kun? I mean, we are way above the level of a genin. Akari complained a bit. Don't say that, Akari-chan. We might be strong characters, but it's always fun to start the game from level 1, Naruto replied. Alright, Akari said with a pout. On their way to the academy, they saw 3 boys around the age of 12 or something picking on a girl. The said girl had dark blue hair that was kept in a Heim cut, her hair was short, kept just above her forehead, with chin-length strands framing her face. She was wearing a cream-colored hooded jacket with a fire symbol on the upper sleeves and fur around the cuffs and hem, along with it she was wearing navy blue pants. The girl was crying a bit as the bullies were calling her weirdo due to her eyes. Hey, what's with those ugly eyes, bully 1 said. She doesn't even have pupils, is she blind, bully 2 teased. That would mean that she can't tell anyone even anything we do, bully 3 said as he picked up a rock and was about to throw it on the girl. But before any of them could even lift a finger at the girl, they were suddenly thrown away from the girl by a strong invisible force and were instantly knocked out after hitting the trees. The girl didn't understand what happened but was completely caught off guard when she saw a handsome blonde approach her and offered her his hand. You okay? Naruto asked with concern. He always hated bullies since he was bullied or rather tortured before he left Konoha. The girl blushed a bit but replied while taking Naruto's hand, why yeah, I'm okay. Thank you for saving me. Naruto chuckled at her stuttering, finding it really cute. No problem. Anything for a cute girl like you, Naruto said with his famous fox-like smile. The girl blushed furiously at the compliment. He thinks I'm CC cute. By the way, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. What's your name? Naruto asked. I'm Hinata Hyuga, the girl replied. That's a really pretty name, Hinata-chan, Naruto said, oblivious to the suffix he simply added. Hinata-chan. Hinata blushed scarlet red due to the suffix Naruto simply added to her name. Wait. I remember now. We're in the same batch, Naruto exclaimed a bit. Hinata got a bit confused when she heard that Naruto was in the same class as her. It would be impossible that she could not have remembered Naruto being in the same class as her, since he could easily draw the attention of people towards himself with his looks. Naruto-san, I don't think I ever saw you, Hinata asked with confusion. Well, that's because I'm a new admission along with Akari-chan here, Naruto said while he motioned his hand to his right. Hinata then noticed Akari standing to the right of Naruto with a smile on her face. Hinata furiously apologized to Akari for not noticing her earlier. It's okay, Hinata-san. I really don't mind, Akari said with a sweat drop seeing Hinata apologize with such intensity. But when Akari's eyes met Hinata's, her women intuition started screaming that this girl was even more dangerous than Anko. Akari just shrugged it aside, seeing that Hinata was a very shy person and would never pose much threat to her if only she would have listened to her women's intuition. After a moment, the trio started walking towards the academy together. Ninja Academy. Iruka Yamino was having a tough day since his assistant Mizuki was sick. He had to deal with the whole class alone. The said class were in their own world as everyone was busy doing their own thing. The girls from the Sasuke fan club or SFC were fawning over Sasuke, who as usual was brooding in his seat. Doji was eating chips in the class, Shikamaru was sleeping, Kiba was well doing what he does, Shino was completely silent in his seat, Hinata was sitting in her seat with a shy look as always, but this time it was more since her blonde hero would be joining her class soon. Naruto and Akari told her to go to her classroom since they will be introduced later. Sakura and Ino were fighting over who loves their Sasuke more. In short, Akura was completely ignored. Iruka's eyes twitched and he used his famous big head no jutsu to silence the class. Although not fully effective, he did reduce the noise up to 85%. Iruka cleared his throat and said. Today, 2 new students will be joining our class. Many of the students started chattering when they heard that there would be 2 new transfers. Except for Hinata, almost everyone was in deep thought of who these transfers might be. Kiba was the first to speak, but isn't it too late for any transfers? I mean, we're already in the 6th month of our first year. You are quite correct about that, Kiba, but they both are personally advised by the Hokage, Iruka said. Every student now had the look of shock on their face. If the Hokage personally advised the academy, then the transfers had to really special people. "Excuse me, Iruka-sensei, who exactly are these transfer students?" Ino asked. "We go by the name of Naruto and Akari." A male voice was heard suddenly. Everyone turned their heads to the doorway from where the voice came from. The girls and the boys instantly sported blushes when they saw Naruto and Akari respectively. Iruka just sighed and introduced them properly. "Class, meet Naruto Uzumaki and Akari Kagaya. They'll be spending the next 4 years with us." It was at this moment the whole class registered Naruto's full name. And except for the clan heirs, they all started shaking in fear since they were told that he was the Kyuubi reincarnate by their parents. Iruka was expecting this kind of reaction from the class, even he would have hated Naruto if he was not forced to spend the last week with him by the Hokage. Iruka was told how Naruto was treated before he left the village, since many people, which included all the clan leaders, were kept in the dark about the treatment the villagers gave to Naruto. When Iruka heard about it, his hatred for Naruto completely vanished and all that he had left was sympathy. His soft-hearted nature saw Naruto as a kid who was given punishment for something he had never done. He even swore to Naruto that he'll always protect him if he ever falls in danger. Iruka also noted that Naruto was really smart and mature for his age, but he shrugged it aside. Naruto was completely expecting this type of reaction from his classmates, so he took a deep breath and said in a deadly serious voice, "I know that you all are probably scared of me since you think of me as the Kyuubi reincarnate. But let me clear one thing, I'll make sure that by the time we all graduate from this academy, I'll change your views on me. You better believe it." Iruka smiled at the determination Naruto showed, while everyone present in the class except the clan heirs gave Naruto a suspicious look. It was at this moment the journey of a legend began. The legend who was soon to be known as Naruto the Uzumaki prodigy. The first few months went by smoothly for Naruto and Akari. Although the class was still wary of Naruto, he still made friends with quite a few, which included Hinata, obviously, Kiba, Shino, Shikamaru, and Choji. Hinata also got closer to Naruto during this time, somehow without Akari noticing it. Although Akari's intuition always went into high alarm whenever she was near Hinata, she always ignored her and looked everywhere thinking that Anko was the cause for it. Naruto and Akari were also told about Hinata's past, like the Hyuga affair that took place 1 year prior to Naruto leaving Konoha, which in turn led to her cousin Miji Hyuga hating her. She was also considered weak by her clan elders since she was very kind-hearted for a Hyuga. Her little sister Hanabi Hyuga was considered much stronger than her and was being considered as a much better clan heir. Hinata also told them about how her clan was divided into 2 branches, the main house and the branch house. And those within the branch house were given the cage bird seal, which sealed their Byakugan when they died so that it won't fall into the hands of the enemy. But the more disturbing fact about the seal was that it can be activated by the members of the main house, which in turn gave the person with the seal an unbearable amount of pain as it targeted the person's brain cells. Akari was clearly disgusted by the fact that the Hyuga main house treated the branch house literally as their slaves, despite the fact that they all belonged to the same family. Hinata also told them that if she couldn't prove herself as a better clan heiress, then she would be shifted to the branch house and given the cursed seal, but if she does prove herself, then her sister will be given the cursed seal. Even though her father Hiashi Hyuga doesn't want any of them to be branded, he was rendered powerless in front of the Hyuga elders. Naruto was quiet during the whole explanation and chose to rather comfort Hinata, who started crying. But deep in his mind, he made a strong resolve: I'll make sure that no one can lay even a finger on Hinata-chan or her family. Be it her clan elders or even the strongest shinobi. Naruto also started giving Hinata some extra training since he felt that she had a huge amount of untapped potential inside of her and only needed the right guidance to unlock her true power. Naruto also met Hiashi and Hanabi during these months. Hiashi was a good friend of Minato, so when he knew that Naruto was Minato's son, he treated Naruto like his family, much to the dismay of the clan elders. Hiashi was also told about Ryu since he wanted to know where Naruto had disappeared to during these 6 years. Naruto also confronted Hiashi about the mental stress his clan was giving to Hinata. Hiashi did feel ashamed of himself for not being able to protect her daughter like he always wanted, but later steeled himself when Naruto told him that it wasn't too late for him. Needless to say, after Naruto came into the life of Hinata, she had gotten even closer to her father and little sister. The day Naruto and Akari were visiting Hinata and Hanabi as usual when Hiashi came back from the clan meeting with a furious look. "What's the matter, Hiashi-san? Did the clan elders said something stupid again?" Naruto asked. "You're quite right about that fact, Naruto-san. The clan elders want me to select a clan heir quickly so that they can already mark Hinata or Hanabi with the cursed seal," Hiashi said while gritting his teeth. "So why don't you tell them straight on their face that you won't allow them to mark either Hinata or Hanabi with the cursed seal? After all, you're the clan leader," Naruto said in a calm and collected voice. Hiashi turned towards Naruto and said, It's not so easy to convince the elders, Naruto-san. Apparently, the decision in Hyuga clan is always made by the clan elders. I'm just a clan leader for name's sake. I couldn't even protect my own brother. Then why don't you prove it, just why you're the clan leader, Naruto said as he stood up from his place. I don't get what you're trying to say, Naruto-san, Hiashi said with a look of confusion. What I'm trying to get at is the fact that instead to dwelling in the past where you couldn't save your brother, why don't you try to change the present by saving your daughters instead, Naruto said with a serious look. I don't think you realize it, Naruto-san. But I'm literally powerless in front of the elders, Hiashi said while clenching his fists. Just show the courage to stand up against the elders, Hiashi-san. Show them what a clan-led know what a father can do to protect his own children, Naruto said with determination. Hiashi was completely moved by the words that Naruto said. He knew that Naruto was really smart and mature, but he never knew that his words could even motivate a man thrice his age. He looked towards his daughters and saw them happily chatting with Akari. Something sparked inside him then, a fatherly instinct that was screaming at him to protect these smiles of his daughters. He had already lost his wife and his brother, he won't lose his daughters now. With a bright flame in his eyes, he walked towards the room where the clan elders were present with Naruto slowly tailing him so that he doesn't know. When Hiashi finally reached the Hyuga council chamber, he took a deep breath and walked in. The clan elders were a bit surprised to see Hiashi come back already, but thought that he has finally made up his mind. So Hiashi, you've finally come to a decision. A random clan elder asked. Hiashi nodded. Good. So tell us which one of your daughters would be marked with the seal. The random clan elder asked again. No daughter of mine shall be branded with that cursed seal. I've already stayed quiet for a long time, but no more. I, Hiashi Hyuga, as the Hyuga clan leader, declare that none of my daughters shall be branded. Hiashi said with fiery determination. All the clan elders fumed at Hiashi and roared at him. Do you realize who you're talking to, Hiashi? We can easily remove you from your post if we want to. Don't even think that you can go against our decisions. Hiashi was now feeling a bit cornered as the clan elders started fuming at him. But as we all know that when there's a damsel in distress, a hero always arrives riding a shining white horse. And with that said, Naruto just walked into the chamber casually and voiced his opinion. You can't remove Hiashi-san from the post of the clan leader, even if you all want to, Naruto said with a smug expression. And why do you think that demon brat, a clan elder snarled, clearly not happy that Naruto just barged into the chamber. Naruto had a huge smirk on his face as he said. Article 7, Section 5 of the Hyuga Law. A new clan leader can only be assigned by the previous clan leader himself/herself. No other Hyuga have the right to remove or assign a new clan leader. It was at this moment the whole room got completely silent. Hiashi was stunned that Naruto, who was only 10 years old, knew about the Hyuga laws that even he was unaware of. The clan elders were mentally cursing Naruto for knowing the law which they blatantly abused to make Hiashi do what they say. I would also like to add Article 5, Section 3, which states that a clan leader is the highest post and cannot be ordered by anyone. Naruto finished with a grin, since he knew that he has caused enough damage to the clan elders. Stop speaking lies, demon. You really think you could trick Hiashi-sama with such lies? An enraged elder spoke with venom but clamped his mouth at the slip of his tongue. Hiashi-sama? Hiashi questioned with an enraged look when he heard the laws that were hidden from him. Don't believe this, demon, Hiashi. There are no such laws, a clan elder spoke, trying to remain calm. I knew you would be saying that. So I came with proof, Naruto said as he unsealed some documents from one of his scrolls and gave it to Hiashi. These are the untampered version of the Hyuga clan laws that were there before you became the clan leader, Hiashi-san, Naruto said. The clan elders suddenly paled when they saw Hiashi getting more and more enraged with every word he was reading. Where did you get those, you demon brat? A trembling clan leader spoke. You can say that my two-san helped me, Naruto said with a smile as he slowly touched his Uzumaki pendant. After Hiashi read all the laws, he was fuming with the anger of being played with for so many years. He was already in the stance of gentle fist, ready to whoop the asses of the clan elders, but was stopped when Naruto placed a hand on his back due to the height difference. Calm down, Hiashi-san, you can take out your anger in other ways too, Naruto said with a smirk. Hiashi took a moment to realize the meaning behind Naruto's words, but soon gave a smirk of his own. Now that he knew that no one has authority over him, he can easily do anything to the clan elders without anyone questioning. I'm really indebted to you, Naruto-san. If you didn't show me these laws, Kami knows what all these idiots would have made me do. Hiashi spoke as he bowed to Naruto in appreciation. Haha, you don't need to do that, Hiashi-san. I feel quite embarrassed now. Naruto laughed awkwardly at such a sudden gesture of appreciation. You're way too humble, Naruto-san, Hiashi said with a big smile. It was my duty to show you the truth, Hiashi-san, Naruto said with a grin. Oh, by the way, can you give me a few moments with the clan elders, Naruto asked Hiashi. Sure I can, but why do you need it, Naruto-san? Hiashi asked with a bit of confusion. Nothing important. Just one-on-one chat with them, Naruto said with a small smile. The Ashi nodded and went out of the chamber, but not before warning the clan elders that if they even think about hurting Naruto in his absence, he'll personally close all their 361 Tenketsu chakra points. When Ashi finally left, Naruto turned towards the clan elders and with eerily cold voice spoke to them, "Let me give all of you sacks of bones a warning." Naruto raised his Kai at about 20%, but that was more than enough for the clan elders to shit their pants. They swore that they could literally see the silhouette of the Kyuubi that formed behind Naruto glaring at them. "If any one of you even tries to lay a finger on Hinata-chan, Hiashi-sen or Hanabi, I swear that I'll rip you all piece by piece," Naruto said while his voice turned demonic at the end. The clan elders were sure that their attire was already stained due to fear. Naruto simply lowered his Kai to about 1 or 2%, which was just enough to scare away little insects. "So I hope that I won't have to kill you in the future," Naruto said with a smile as he walked out the chambers like a boss. From that day on, the Hyuga clan elders were dismissed from their duties. The branch house were also given the opportunity to get their cursed seal removed. Hiashi happily agreed to this since he always hated the fact that this seal made his brother's life a living hell. Naruto used his Eye and No Sora to destroy the cursed seal from the foreheads of the members of branch house. It was a day of rejoicing for the Hyuga clan as Naruto was declared their savior for reuniting both the houses. But not everyone was happy. Neji still held a grudge against Hiashi, blaming him for his father's death. Neji even refused to remove the cage bird seal from his forehead since it reminded him of his revenge. Hiashi tried to talk to Neji, but alas Neji didn't listen to a single word that he said. Naruto told Hiashi that Neji is just blinded by the flames of revenge and will come to his senses sooner or later. Hiashi just nodded and agreed, hoping that one day his nephew forgives him and becomes part of the family again. It was finally the end of the second year of the academy and Naruto was slowly gaining popularity among his peers. Naruto usually hung out with his group of friends that consisted of Akari, Hinata, Kiba, Shino, Shikamaru, and Choji. All of them also started changing little by little for the better as they hung out with Naruto. Hinata was growing more and more bolder, while her stuttering was also lessened quite a bit. Kiba didn't act on his instincts alone now, as Naruto taught him how to plan and strategize his actions. Shino was opening up more and more to Naruto, but was still quiet normally. Choji started gaining more confidence in himself, and Shikamaru had gotten a little less lazy. Naruto also gave jutsu training to all of them on their free days. He also made sure to teach other forms of jutsus, such as ninjutsu, kenjutsu, and fuinjutsu to those who wanted to learn. All of their parents also approved of Naruto since he was having a really good impact on their children. We now take a look towards one of the training sessions Naruto was having with his friends. Currently, Naruto was sparring against all of his friends like always. When he first proposed it they found it really hard to believe that Naruto would be able to win against all of them, but till date, they all had yet to land a single blow on him. Naruto was currently engaged in a fight with Akari, Hinata, and Kiba. Akari was using her clan's Shikatsunyaku to create small bone projectiles from her fingers which she was shooting as bullets towards Naruto. Hinata was using her clan's Byakugan and Gentle Fist technique to strike Naruto, and Kiba, along with his dog partner Akamaru, were using his clan's Fang Passing Fang technique to crush Naruto. Now all of you must be thinking that how is Naruto handling all of them single-handedly, he's godlike for a reason people. Plus the Naruto all three of them were fighting was a shadow clone that was dodging them with ease. There was also another shadow clone that was currently handling Shino and Choji, who were using their clan's bugs and human bullet tank technique respectively. The real Naruto was standing behind Shikamaru, who after fighting the second clone with Shino and Choji, was hiding in the bush, devising a plan to take down the two clones. When Shikamaru finally sensed Naruto, it was already too late for him to react as Naruto used his chakra chains to bind him, while advising you need to be more aware of your surroundings. Shikamaru sighed and just replied troublesome strong blonde. Naruto looked towards the area where the fight was going on, only to find that it was already over. The clone that was fighting Akari, Hinata, and Kiba trapped all of them using Genjutsu. Akari and Hinata were trapped in a hot Genjutsu, in which Naruto was sensually making out with them. Needless to say, both of them were knocked out due to massive nosebleeds and a perverted grin on their face. Kiba was made to see his mother giving him the worst punishment of his life, which made Kiba whimper on the ground just like a puppy. The Genjutsu was not applied over Akamaru, he just went towards Naruto's clone when he saw that his master was trapped in Genjutsu and was whimpering. The clone that was with Shino and Choji used Dotenjutsu to trap both of them on the ground. Naruto let out a long sigh, they all have a really long way to go. Half an hour later when all of them gathered together Naruto spoke to them. I'm impressed, all of your performances have improved compared to the spar we had last week. Kiba and Choji were really happy and were jumping when they heard that they have improved. Shino quietly nodded but was having a small smile on his face. Shikamaru simply replied troublesome, while deep inside was satisfied. Akari and Hinata were also happy with the praise, but were avoiding eye contact with Naruto since they clearly remembered every detail of the genjutsu they were trapped in. But you all still have a really long way to go. None of you were able to land a blow on my clones, again. So as a punishment all of you will be having a spar with me. No clones this time, Naruto said, sickly sweet smile that could send shivers through anyone's spine. All of them paled when they heard that Naruto himself will be fighting with them. With fear evident in his voice, Kiba asked Naruto, why you're kidding, right? I mean, we could barely hit your clones like always. Naruto just replied with a smile, that's why I'm giving you all an hour to rest. That day all of them returned home completely drained. It was finally the start of a new session in the academy. Naruto and his gang were walking towards the academy while having a nice chat among themselves. Hey Naruto. Do you have any idea what type of event Iruka-sensei will have us perform this year? Kiba asked in a cheerful mood. Every year when a new session started, the academy teachers used to hold some kind of event for their class so as to check their progress. These events varied from class to class. When the second year started, Iruka made his students run around an obstacle course. Naruto took the least time ever recorded in the history of the academy to complete it. Although he was still holding back his real speed by a lot since he didn't want any unwanted attention. But unfortunately someone did get jealous due to Naruto's achievement. He was Sasuke Uchiha. From the first day itself, Sasuke hated Naruto since Naruto was stealing his limelight. Even though Sasuke never showed it, he was an attention whore who loved it when he was the main focus of everyone. But ever since Naruto came into the picture, he was slowly losing the attention of the class. Naruto always used to beat him in everything, whether it be academics or training. Sasuke even lost his cool one day and tried to pick a fight with Naruto, but was ignored since Naruto didn't want to hurt the little brother of Itachi. I cannot predict the future, Kiba. You will have to wait till Iruka-sensei himself tells us, Naruto replied. Oh man. I really want to show everyone how much I've improved, Kiba said as he jumped in excitement. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered. Calm down, Kiba-san. It's not only you, we all want to show how much we've improved, Shino said with a straight face. It's exactly what Shino says, Kiba, we all are excited to show our improvement to the world, Choji added, surprisingly not munching anything. Buzzkill, Kiba said as he puffed his cheeks a bit. Everyone just sighed at Kiba's antics. When they finally reached the academy, they came face to face with Sasuke and the girls from his fan club. Well, if it isn't the dope. You finally ready to lose to me this year? Sasuke said with a smirk. Shut up, duck butt. Naruto-kun can easily whoop your ass without even lifting a single finger, Akari snarled. How dare you talk to Sasuke-kun like that? Sakura screeched along with Ino and other fangirls. Want me to pop your cherry head? Akari retorted. As Sakura and Akari were butting their heads against each other, Sasuke looked towards Hinata and said with a smug expression, you should leave the clan less dope and hang out with me. Hinata calmly replied. I fail to see who's the one without a clan here. Ooh, burn. Kiba and Choji said as they decided to add fuel to the fire. Shikamaru just smirked and said. Shots fired. Naruto let out a sigh seeing his friends enrage Sasuke more and more, guess he had it coming after all. Sasuke felt anger bubble inside of him, never has he been humiliated. He glared towards Hinata and jumped towards her with his fist cocked back. How dare you say that, bitch. When he was just mere inches from her, his fist was stopped by Iruka, who happened to notice the commotion and jump at the right time. Why the hell did you stop me? Sasuke growled towards Iruka. Iruka just sighed and replied to him, if I wouldn't have stopped you then you would have died. Sasuke got confused as to why Iruka said that he would have died. Iruka simply looked towards his chest. When Sasuke followed where Iruka was looking, his eyes bulged out a bit. Naruto was crouched beneath him while holding his katana straight toward Sasuke's chest. The tip of his katana was literally touching Sasuke's sternum. If Sasuke would not have been stopped by Iruka, then the katana would have definitely pierced him. Attack me all you want, I don't give a damn. But if you dare raise even a single finger on my friends, I make sure to personally escort you to the Shinigami, Naruto said with venom dripping from his voice. Sasuke literally shuddered at the tone that Naruto used, but his ego still won over his common sense to stay quiet. But you really think a clan less dope like you could even kill me? Sasuke said. I don't think, I know that I can kill a shitty Uchiha like you easily, Naruto said with a straight face. Before Sasuke could retort back or the fight escalated further, Iruka separated both of them. If you both really want to fight, why don't you settle it with a taijutsu match, Iruka said as he motioned his hand towards the ground where Mizuki had finished making the battle ring. Fine by me, Naruto simply replied and started walking towards the battle ring. I'll finally show you what it means to mess with an Uchiha, Sasuke growled a bit as he too started walking towards the battle ring. Naruto and Sasuke stood on each side of the ring ready to battle it out. Sasuke-kun, show us how cool you are. The SFC screamed. Naruto-kun, kick his ass. Akari screamed on top of her lungs. Naruto-kun, do your best, Hinata softly spoke. Show that team how powerful you are, Naruto. Kiba yelled. Naruto smiled towards his friends as thanks and then turned his head towards Sasuke. Listen Sasuke, there's still time to back off. What's the matter dope? Getting cold feet. Sasuke said with a smirk. Naruto sighed fine, it's your choice. But let me give you a warning, I won't be playing with you. You won't be able to land a single punch on me dope Sasuke growled. One punch is all I need Naruto replied with a straight face. Iruka watched both of them and sighed this isn't going to end well. But at least Sasuke might learn to never look down on anybody. Mizuki slowly made his way between them to act as the adjudicator. Mizuki looked at Sasuke and asked, you ready? Sasuke nodded and took his clan's Taijutsu stance, the interceptor fist. Mizuki looked towards Naruto with a smirk. You'll finally get the beating you always used to receive Mizuki mumbled, but Naruto still heard him with his enhanced senses. So he's one of those who used to torture me during childhood Naruto said in his mind. You got any plans for him Kityan Kurama asked. Just a little payback Naruto said with a smirk. Fight. Mizuki said loudly. Before anyone could even blink their eye, Naruto got behind Sasuke and in a swift motion, delivered a palm strike to his back. Sasuke couldn't even react as he was sent flying towards Mizuki. Both of them were groaning with pain as they crashed into each other. Everyone that saw it was completely stunned, except Naruto's friends who knew that he was going to win, although they also didn't expect it to be so fast though. Naruto walked out of the ring without saying a word as Sasuke and Mizuki were lying outside the ring due to the force Naruto used in his thrust, so he already won the fight. Naruto made his way towards his friends as they congratulated him. Damn that was really badass man. Kiba said as he patted Naruto's back. Yeah man. You completely destroyed him. Choji exclaimed. That was really cool, Naruto-san Shino said. Just how much strong are you? Troublesome blonde Shikamaru added. You're the best Naruto-kun. Akari exclaimed as she hugged Naruto. You were really great back there and Naruto-kun Hinata softly said. Naruto smiled at all of his friends and said. It was really nothing. He was really weak compared to all of you. What the? I couldn't even follow his speed with my eyes. Haruka thought with shock completely evident on his face. When Haruka finally got out of his daze he cleared his throat and said. Since Naruto and Sasuke have already finished their match, the rest of you will be having your matches now. You can pick up your opponent if you want to. Haruka-sensei, I really didn't enjoy my match with Sasuke, can I have another one with someone else? Naruto asked. Haruka saw all of his students even Naruto's friends paling up and looking at Haruka with only one thing written in their eyes, please refuse his request sensei. Haruka gave a small sigh, you already had your match Naruto, I can't allow that. If you want to do something then why don't you take Sasuke and Mizuki to the infirmary? Naruto gave him a dejected look and disappeared via Shunshin, along with Mizuki and Sasuke. Moments later he appeared again and said. Job done. Haruka was surprised for the second time as he saw Naruto use a Shunshin at such young age. You really are full of surprises Naruto Haruka thought. The rest of the fights went by without much problems. All of Naruto's friends won without much effort, even Shikamaru gave a really good fight. Haruka was really happy that Naruto was having a really positive impact on all of the clan heirs except Ino, since she was always running behind Sasuke. Speaking of Ino, she was really depressed when she lost the fight to Hinata. When the academy was over, she quietly left the academy grounds without saying a word to anyone else. She was currently sitting alone near the riverside staring at her reflection in the water. Am I really so weak? Ino asked herself in dejection. There is no doubt in that a voice came from behind her. Ino shrieked at the sudden interruption. She turned around to see the owner of the voice and was surprised to find Naruto standing there. And Naruto? What are you doing here? Ino asked with a shocked look. Saw you walking out of the academy with a depressed look, so I thought maybe you might need some company Naruto replied as he sat down next to Ino. So what's your motive? Came to make fun of me? Ino asked. On the contradictory, I came here to actually ask you that if you wanted to extra training Naruto said. Extra training? Ino asked with confusion. Yep. Akari, Hinata, Kiba, Shino, Choji, and Shikamaru are already on training ground 13. I came to ask you to join our training session at the request of your father, Naruto replied to her. My father requested you to train me, Ino asked with a shocked look, since she never recalled hearing anything like that from her father. That is exactly what you heard Ino. If I recall correctly Inoichi-san, Chimza-san, and Shikaku-san are great friends with each other. So when your father heard how Choji and Shikamaru have improved greatly due to the extra training I gave them, he immediately rushed towards my home and requested me to teach you as well. Although I had declined earlier Naruto said, but was interrupted by Ino. Was it because I'm too weak for you to give me any training? Ino asked with tears in her eyes. Naruto slowly leaned towards her and wiped off the tears that were slowly trailing down her cheeks. You're not weak Ino. My reason for declining your father's request earlier was your obsession with Sasuke. My obsession over Sasuke Ino asked while sobbing a bit. Your father also agrees with me on this fact Ino. I found it really pathetic that you neglected your training just because you were fawning over Sasuke all this time. Same goes for your friend Sakura, she might be really smart, but she's really weak physically, and if this continues on then I'm sorry to say it, but I don't think that she would survive even 1 second in the shinobi world. You, on the other hand, might survive just a little bit longer due to your clan techniques, but in the end, you are no better than her. Naruto spoke quite harshly than he expected, but he knew that if she doesn't start improving now, then she won't survive in the real world. Ino was completely taken aback at the bluntness. Naruto simply said that she won't survive much longer if she became a genin at her current level. Ino was in deep thought, contemplating about receiving training from Naruto. Naruto saw this and said to her, "You don't need to reply right now. Take your time, I'll wait until tomorrow for your answer." Ino nodded and Naruto left via Hiraishin for training ground 13.